Keemstar's on AugieRFC and Twitch talking about you.
This whole panel the other night is because Papa Gut was there and I wanted to confront him about it. I'm like, I find it very hypocritical that you're judging my relationship, but as soon as someone judges your relationship, you get all fucking pissy about it, you know? You're judging my girlfriend because she's 21, but someone judges your wife for being fat and you get all upset.
Is he judging your girlfriend, or is he judging your decision to have a relationship with a woman of that age? Is he saying your girlfriend is like insulting her?
Hold on. You're trying to do the same thing he's doing.
What do you mean?
Her age is part of who she is. His wife's weight is part of who she is.
I feel like the attack's more on you, though. Like, if he's criticizing your relationship,
nobody agrees with Keemstar.
Oh, Papa God just DM'd me, actually.
Get him in here. That might be easier than watching videos.
Yeah. I mean, that'd be easier than watching.
Let's do it, baby.
I want to play it. Also, let me shout out this donation real quick.
Oh my god, I get on late.
Is he just lurking in your stream?
I don't know. Maybe it's just maybe somebody tweeted him.
Yeah, maybe someone someone from the chat tweeted him or something.
Papa Guts here.
Hello.
What's up?
Why did you lie? Like in your video.
Whoa, relax, Keemstar. Why?
You went on to say, don't cut me off. You did this last time. You gotta listen. Sure. Don't talk. You gotta actually listen to what I'm saying if you want to.
I always listen to what you're saying.
Because you went on to say Keemstar took the side of this TikToker. You said that, and then you played the clip where I clearly say I'm not taking his side. I find it hypocritical. That's exactly what I said.
Well, the argument would be that
wait, I'm still talking. The question is, do you not respect your audience? Do you just are they pawns to you? Are you like Ethan Klein, where you're just gonna lie to them, get them all amped up?
Keemstar, the argument there would be that you are disingenuous, right? Keem, listen. I tried to explain this to you like very nicely in the debate. For some reason, I don't know why you held on to me making fun of the fact that you like younger girls for so long. That's actually my first question. Why is it so upsetting to you?
No, you were judging my relationship, and then when
you were
Keemstar,
from let's start the debate. Square one.
You said that I was unhinged, but then you got unhinged when you were the TikTok.
Let's start at square one instead of jumping around. Square one is that like we back and forth on Twitter. You call me fat, and I tell you that you like young girls because you're weird. So why did you take this so personally?
No, that's not what I was referring to at all.
Yeah, that's what what were you referring to me making fun of you for liking younger girls then?
We were on a podcast. And I believe
what podcast?
What is the black T channel?
You're talking about Paige Christie? We're okay.
Paige.
Okay.
On that show, you kept saying over and over again that it's weird. That I'm weird. You're weird for dating a 20-year-old.
I said that to you. Okay, it's a little weird. Yeah.
Yeah, you kept saying over and over again.
Yeah, it's like weird. it's immature. Yeah.
So you're judging. It's not immature.
It is immature. Yeah.
Well, what is?
Well, okay. So the immaturity comes from the fact that you have. It's bizarre, as a 40-year-old person, to date somebody that's 20, because that means that you have something in common with them. It is bizarre. Some people do it. It's okay that you do it. Everything's fine and consensual, but it's immature and it's weird. Yeah.
Men have been doing that throughout all human history. Do you have a history book? Have you ever taken any history classes?
So like men throughout history have like raped 13-year-old girls. Is that okay too? Like I don't know where historically it's been okay for really old men to date like 13, 14, and 15-year-olds. Are we going to be like, well, that should be okay? No.
Like, but that's not what I said. Now
I'm not straw manning anything. Stop using debate terms you don't understand. Listen, you just brought up historical. You just brought up
a straw man.
Oh
that
my
is
god!
The you
brought up historical context. You brought up historical context.
Have a fucking real conversation.
Sorry. Every time, why is it that every time somebody counters what you say, you go, "Oh, you're criticizing me or something"? Like Augie disagreed with you fundamentally. You're like, "Oh, you're just wrong and dumb, and you need to pull up the video and rewatch it." Maybe you're wrong. You ever think about that? Like, what if you just listened for like a second when people were talking?
I do listen. You don't.
I do.
Over me every time. You're doing it right now. You talk over me every time.
Okay, what do you need to say?
Every time we've had a conversation. I find it very hypocritical. I'm going to go back to the point that I'm making because you want to spin it around to all this other stuff and use strawman and everything else.
Okay.
You judged my relationship.
Okay.
You openly judged my relationship. And then when someone judged your relationship, you got very upset about it.
Okay.
So I find it hypocritical.
So here's okay. So let's start at square one then here. All right. So when you say I judge your relationship, I'm making fun of you. I never judged your girlfriend. I never brought her into the conversation. I never criticized her.
But the guy on TikTok was making fun of you for having an overweight wife.
No. So this is Keemstar. At least you have to understand something. When I say like, oh, it's weird that you're dating younger girls, right? That's making fun of you. When somebody said,
when the guy on TikTok was
hey, you're talking over me, Keemstar. What are you doing?
Okay. I'm just saying the guy on TikTok was making fun
of
you.
No. Listen.
Let Papa God explain the story.
That's not what he was doing. That's not what he was doing. What he was saying was that my wife is valueless as a person because she's overweight. That is not the same as me making fun of you for liking young girls. It's exactly what he was doing.
Making fun of you.
No. Keem. He specifically devalued my wife for her weight because he's in that high value.
You say that.
Yes, so that's.
Heard you say that.
That's the point. Yes.
Was he making fun of you? Was he making fun of you?
Also,
your wife.
Sure.
Yes. Okay. So now that it's the same thing,
it's not the same thing. You can't remove all of like. It's not even nuance here. I mean, you're just like you're boiling it down too much. It's not the same thing. At no point have I ever criticized your girlfriend at all in any capacity. I made fun of you. It would be comparable.
You said she's young.
Oh, is that an insult? Like her being young?
You were trying to make it one. You said it was weird.
You're weird. Yes. I don't know.
No.
Like I don't understand.
Okay, hold on. Let me interject here. Do you not think that you're criticizing her as well by saying that like, she's engaging in a weird relationship with Keemstar, or do you think Keemstar's the only one being weird and she's innocent of
He could
being
never
weird?
compare to the known
Keemstar
who has never
so
been
the girl.
seen.
Well, hold on. Let him respond to what I asked first. I'm just curious,
let me reword what you asked. So the girl that's 21 that wants to date a 40-year-old successful man, she's weird too.
No, probably not. I just think it's weird.
Okay, it's only me that's weird.
Ask, like, what's the difference then? Like, why is Keemstar the one being weird, but she's not weird? Like, isn't she also capable of making her own decision?
100%. But at what point did I say it was non-consensual? The weird part to me is that somebody, it doesn't even matter if they're a man or a woman, that's 40 years old has enough in common with a 20-year-old to date them. That's like the weird part. Now, either way,
I have everything in common with a 20-year-old. Like what?
Yeah, yes, that's why it's weird. Yeah, I don't like. Okay. Either way, even if you say, I don't agree with your logic, I don't think it's weird, I think that you're being stupid. Either way, it's not even close to on the same level as devaluing my wife fundamentally because she's overweight, boiling her down to that. Like, if a more comparable thing is if you said something like, I would say it's like, oh, it's weird because you're both overweight, but overweight people date all the time. That's not really weird. If it's weird because she's like it would be comparable if you said it's really weird that she's dating you with a master's degree when you like dropped out of high school. Like that's something more comparable.
This is why I say nobody on the internet can be actually honest. Like,
well, I think you're projecting, Keemstar, because you struggle to be honest.
You're boiling down his whole relationship.
You're cutting me off.
Well, your mic is cutting off.
Stop cutting me off. Well, stop cutting me off. It's cutting off because you're talking. But nobody online can be honest. Like,
why do you think
the idea that 40-year-olds don't want to date 21-year-old
nobody said that, dude,
is insane. That's insane. I mean, it's not weird. That is very fucking normal.
Okay.
And women in their early 20s want to date older guys. They've been around these really super immature dudes that got nothing going on, treated like shit. They want to date older guys. That is a fucking fact. That's so common, and that's such a fucking fact.
I don't think it's as common as you think, but either way,
that's
not the thing I care about. Like, my issue is like, oh, Keemstar, like it's literally the biggest thing is making fun of you for it because we go back and forth. Like, how many times? Like, you literally texted me. We were talking about me meeting up with you, and you said, "Hey, if you take a plane, make sure you get 2 seats." Like, this is the banter back and forth. I don't take it personally, Keemstar, because it's just like stupid humor.
You did when that TikToker was going after you.
Because
right?
but it's Keemstar. It's like can you at the least see how that's like so very different from what's happening right now?
Every day I get told that like I'm weird and that like, you know, I'm a groomer or pedo or something like that.
I've
like,
never said you're a groomer or a pedo.
I'm the most normal person ever. If you and your wife broke up, and you had a choice between
never would happen.
Someone it would never happen. I understand you both are in love, but let's pretend it does. Well, okay. Better yet, here's a better question. Let's say let's pretend, and God forbid this never happens.
Oh, come on.
Your wife passes away.
I would literally kill myself, Keemstar.
Okay, but let's pretend it happens, right?
Okay.
And you get through the pain. You get through the pain of that because it would be horrible.
Same it would be.
If I lost my girlfriend, the same thing. I would be I would be down and out for a long, long time.
Okay.
But
what is this conversation, man?
All right, so keep going. Are you saying that I would date a younger girl? Is that like the argument that you're making?
Stop interrupting me. But yeah, if a younger girl was interested in you and an older woman, your same age, was interested in you, and they were both attractive, he would go for the younger one. You would.
I don't think that's true. So here's the one thing. I'm gonna do this thing called steel manning, since we're using debate terms. If I was, and this isn't a criticism of you, but if I was in that age where I would be going through a midlife crisis, I might do that. I'm just that's not an insult on you. I'm not like being like that's when most people will go through. So maybe I would be like, oh fuck, I want to try to go for a younger girl. I've got money.
No, you know, like, I honestly thought I was having a midlife crisis.
Yeah,
like, I really did like believe I was having a midlife because I broke up with baby mama. Right, that relationship was dead for years and years and years, but we stayed together because we had a kid and we love our kid and we love our family and whatever. Right, but I was done with it, and I wanted change in my life, and I wanted to do something different. And you know, people joked online when I started dating the 20-year-old that I was having a midlife crisis, and I just adopted it. I'm like, fuck yeah, if I'm gonna have a midlife crisis, I'm gonna have the best one anyone's ever had. And so I went on a tear. But I thinking back, I don't think that's what it was at all. I think that I worked my ass off through my 20s, through my 30s, up until I was 40. I grinded every day. I didn't go out. Like I normally go out. I didn't socialize like I normally went out. It was Dromler, be successful online, my gaming tournaments, all my businesses. Like that's what I did every single day for fucking 15 years, 13 years, however long my career has been going on for. And I got to the point where I was ready to retire and ready to start living for myself. And
when did you meet your wife?
Work.
Like what point of your success as a content creator? You know what I mean?
Oh, I met her way before that.
Oh, that makes so it sounds like what you're telling me is that like you kind of almost like you were in a different phase of your life. And then you guys kind of just drifted away, like outgrew each other almost, kind of a thing.
I was hooking up with like 5 girls from the office, and then we had a Christmas party, and one of them got pregnant. I was drunk. God. And then I was like,
what a love story.
Well, I was like, you know what? Like, I'm going to man up. And so like we did the relationship thing and we grind it, you know, like she worked and had her own cleaning business, and I did the YouTube thing, and our whole goal in life was to make sure that our kid was set for life and our kid was loved and taken care of. And that's what we did. You know, we dove into our work to make sure that we were kind of set for life. And once we accomplished that, my kid was like growing up, and through, you know, those important years, you know, before she's a teenager, you know, now my kid's at the stage where like, you know, kids grow up and they don't want to hang out with their parents and they don't want to go bowling with their parents or do fun stuff with their parents anymore. And that's the stage my kid's in right now. And, it's kind of like, okay, like I'm successful, I'm financially free. This relationship isn't really a relationship anymore. It's time to part ways. And, you know, me and baby mama parted on such good terms, and we're still great friends. We talk like almost every day, to be honest. And, you know, we both see our kid all the time. I see my kid probably like, I don't know, 4 days a week, I would say. And my kid still lives with baby mama, so she sees her every day, and everything kind of worked out. But when I like when I went to go start dating, I didn't even have a chance to like figure out what girl and what age group. Like, bro, the first bitches that were on me were 20-year-olds. And that's just the way it went down. And then it became a meme, so I had to play with it. And, you know, next thing you know, I just, you know, I met another girl that I like wasn't interested into at all. And I hired her to be my assistant. And like, dude, this girl, Brantley, is my homie, like straight up homie. And then, you know, after months and months of hanging out together, one thing led to another. This bitch hustled my heart, and now I'm stuck with her. But I'm happy and I love her. And yeah, like seeing this shit all the time of like you're weird and all this crazy judgment, I just find it so fucking hypocritical, because if anyone comes at your wife and your relationship, you're gonna get butthurt, you're gonna get offensive, you're gonna get salty.
Okay. Well, again, these are two drastically different situations based on the context. Like I said,
not drastically different.
Oh,
we're talking about
drastically different. Yeah. No. Well, if you boil it down too much, sure. I mean, you can make the point that you can. It's okay to say like I'm a little offended because it feels like you're judging my relationship, but the intensity of which it happened was completely different between him and mine, and like I guess mine and yours. Even though I haven't even said anything like a month or two about it.
But that's not the main reason why I'm upset. I'm upset that you framed that video of the debate as I'm supporting the TikTok guy. I'm not supporting that guy attacking your wife.
I think you're indirectly supporting it by having like really flawed and broken logic and like really
but now you're going around the block to get to that conclusion instead of just like being bluntly honest. I don't support what he's doing. I'm just saying it's hypocritical for you to like, so I don't like how you framed it that way.
Okay.
The people went in watching your video thinking I'm supporting some guy attacking your wife. I'm not.
That's the feeling a lot of people get, like myself and my wife.
Well,
but do you think now that Keemstar's telling it that you would have titled it differently, or do you stick with it and say that Keemstar was?
What do you mean now? It's in
well,
the
debate. What is the
I'm saying like, is Keem changing your mind at all, or like?
You know,
it seems like he's not.
So the biggest thing it sounds like Keemstar's saying is that like he's not like intentionally supporting what the guy did. Like, sure, okay, fair enough. I'm just looking at the title.
I watched your video and I thought Keemstar directly was like, yeah, lol, or something, and being a hypocrite there. I guess maybe that's like my fault for assuming or something, but like I'm just saying, like, would you have like like said anything differently in the video after this conversation, or do you stick by it?
I don't know. Like, what is it that I said? Because you said that like specifically like it sounds like Keemstar's supporting the attack on my wife kind of a thing. Is that what you? Is that what we're asking?
Along those lines, and then you played the debate where I clearly said that I'm not. Like in the debate, in the clip that you use, I literally say that I'm not doing that.
No, I know, but just because somebody says something doesn't mean that they're being honest. I don't know that I would change it, honestly. I don't think that you were directly supporting it, but I do think that like indirectly you are. I think that you're a little. So I can understand that you're frustrated because this has been I don't know how long you've been attacked for. Attacked for this by like multiple different people. But I feel like
I get attacked every day by every little thing. It's not that frustrating. What's frustrating is that you misrepresented my point of this being hypocritical.
Well, but I don't think it is hypocritical. It's not hypocritical. I say that.
Oh, but you said that I supported the guy on TikTok attacking your wife. We're just going in circles because you're not.
Yeah. Okay. No. I hear what you're saying. So, like, what you're saying is that like I intentionally misrepresented what you said, right? And that I was trying to make I was dishonestly trying to make the argument that you are in support of that attack, right? That's your argument.
And your wife thinks that I support that guy.
Okay, so my argument is that like your logic is incredibly flawed and broken in the comparison between the two, and so like being so aggressive about how these two things are somehow equal makes it seem like you're supporting the attack on my wife. Yeah, that's how it feels.
You directly supported the attack on my relationship.
What do you mean?
You said it's weird.
Okay, yeah, I said it's weird, sure, but like, okay, so can we at the very least come to the agreement that saying your relationship is weird isn't in any way, shape, or form nearly as intense as somebody fundamentally saying my wife is valueless because she's overweight?
We can't agree on that because your weird statement Because when you say weird, the person that takes it to the next step calls me a pedo, and that's just not
well,
true.
okay, but now you're blaming me for other people's actions. Like, I don't know.
You're blaming me for other people's actions. You're blaming me for the guy on TikTok and what he said.
I never blamed you.
Yes, you did.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did. I didn't. I support him.
I didn't blame the word. So what you're telling me right now is because I said that it's weird that somehow I am responsible for people calling you a pedophile. Okay, that's different. But that's different than me saying that this guy said something about my wife, and you seem to be justifying it in some capacity based on like the fact that I called your relationship weird. Or I called you weird.
Why don't we go on mute and why don't we just ask the panel their thoughts on this conversation? Because I don't feel like you're understanding what I'm saying.
No, I understand exactly what you're saying.
Over and over again. I said in the debate at the time, and I'm saying it now. I found it hypocritical that you were judging my relationship, but when somebody judged yours, you got real salty.
Okay. I mean, I think that.
Okay, there's two impasses here. What's going on is that you guys are, first of all, you guys are disagreeing on like the implication. Papa Gut, you're saying he indirectly supported the TikTok guy, and Keem's saying he never did at all. And then you guys are debating about the whole thing, like weird versus like the relationship thing. Like Keemstar thinks it's the same exact thing when some guy, insults your wife, as just like how you insult Keem for being weird in his relationship. Keem sees that as an equal thing. Obviously, you disagree. These seem like the two like impasses in this conversation that I've noticed. And that's why you guys are going in circles, because it's just you're debating fundamental things neither of y'all fucking agree in.
Yeah. One person thinks fat jokes are worse. The other thinks saying the relationship's weird is worse. Well,
no, I
jokes,
don't.
I mean,
I think they're the same. I think he's judging a relationship.
All right, hold on. How about this? Right. How about that? All right. Hold on. Just my wife, Keemstar, wants to just talk to you for a little bit. Is that okay? Like a minute.
Absolutely.
She just wants to explain her perspective, okay? And this would be really good because it seems like we're gonna be best friends soon. So you should probably get to know my wife, right? Based on the fact that we're in this love-hate relationship, right?
Damn.
Yeah, sure. If you want to join in, go ahead.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm not great, but anyways, so I'm about a minute behind on the stream, so I don't know what I missed in that past minute. But like I know you're talking to Pop Gut about like being hypocritical and the comparison of how he called your relationship weird and stuff like that. So I just wanted to, I don't know if he explained it well enough, like him calling your relationship weird, like, yeah, like that's targeting your relationship. I agree. I would say that something that would be more of the equivalent would be to say that he's weird for liking fat girls or something like that. Where what happened in the video is the person went beyond to then show pictures of me and talk about how unvaluable I am because the way that I look, that I'm undesirable, that no one wants me, that I'm just, a disgusting person and unvaluable for the way that I look. So I would say that the equivalent to that with your partner would be to attack her. I don't know what she even looks like. I don't know like anything, but to call her valueless. In no way have I heard at least my husband speak about your partner in a personal way.
I understand the difference between the two, but the similarities is what I'm referring to. First of all, I don't support what that guy said about you. I think that's ridiculous. But the reason why he attacked you is because you are the wife of Papa Gut. And he was having a fight with Papa Gut, and he used you and your appearance as a way to judge him and make fun of him and attack him. And Papa got very defensive, like he should, just like I'm defensive when someone's calling my relationship weird.
I understand.
That is the similarities. And then I was misrepresented in Papa Gut's video when he started off the video and to do his own commentary before the debate, and he represented me as supporting that guy on TikTok, which I don't support. I said it in the debate that I don't support what he said. I just find it hypocritical.
Okay. I thought I would just try my own words. I still disagree.
Okay.
And this is the second chance, so I tried.
Okay. Love you. All right. So here's Okay. So here's what I say. Okay. Moving forward, what is it that you'd like, Keemstar, moving forward?
Nothing. This right here. The confrontation.
Don't call you weird anymore for liking younger girls.
I don't mind when people talk shit about me. It gives me a reason to have a conversation with them. So I don't mind. I'm not butthurt. I'm not salty about what you said. I find it hypocritical, and I'm going to challenge you on you being hypocritical when people judge your relationship.
Oh. Well, again, I think that we've established there's like a severity difference. I think that you're boiling it down a little too much. But I think at this point, we're very circular, and we're not really being productive anymore.
So does this mean you guys aren't going to do the podcast?
I don't know. I didn't think we're going to do a podcast. It seems like Keemstar lost interest.
I did not lose interest. I'm working on a bunch of stuff behind the scenes.
No, I figured.
I figured different ideas that I'm testing out and things that I'm doing. I actually, you know who's like wants to do a podcast with me really bad? Leafy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Can you put that on YouTube though?
Oh yeah. I got permission and everything. I got the green light for that. However, Leafy just doesn't show up.
Probably because he's on a copious amount of drugs and he has like no idea what's happening at the moment.
Exactly. Leafy will call me at 2:00 in the morning on a Sunday and be like, "Bro, when are we doing this podcast?" Well, we had 3 times this week that you didn't show up to. Like, I don't know what to tell you, bud. So I don't know if that's that's from an actual like what term am I looking for? That couldn't ever be done with Leafy. Leafy could be a guest on a podcast if I'm lucky enough to catch him. But as far as like a structured thing where he has to show up to work, that just won't ever happen.
Why do you see he seems like he has good like work discipline with like other things except YouTube. I don't know, but I don't really. Who knows? That'd be funny.
He's bored. He's so bored right now, and he wants to do something. But I don't think a podcast is the thing for him.
What do you think you should do? OnlyFans?
If I were him, I would focus on some platform that will allow him to exist where he can't get banned. And I would make his look, there has to be some platform up there that's similar to YouTube where he can make his videos. And
Cozy TV.
And if that doesn't work, his streaming. People liked his streams.
Yeah, the streaming is like a big thing.
So maybe he could just start streaming on Cozy TV or one of these platforms where they're not going to ban him. There's also
what does he got to lose?
There's a YouTube clone called Rumble that a lot of the media is all over that. It's nothing but like media, and it's left wing and right wing. And it's just like YouTube, and it's like I'm kind of confused why he just doesn't go to a platform like that and just start making his content. It just sucks because he's been banned on everything. They banned him on Twitter. They banned him everywhere. I think the only thing he has left is his Instagram. So how does he get in contact with his fan base to let them know where he's at?
Shout him out on a Drama Alert.
Of course. I always do that for him. But I mean, Leafy being gone is like the biggest mystery, and I have went through great lengths to try to figure out why, and I honestly don't know why, and it doesn't make sense. If a guy like Leafy, I'm going to circle back to Ethan Klein here, but if a guy like Leafy made a bunch of videos on Pokimane and gets banned, and no one really understands why, when they weren't even really that bad, he was clickbaiting her, but he, most of the videos towards the end weren't even about him. 5 million sub channel, but then another guy like calls it for a terrorist attack and doesn't get banned. Like, what is going on? Like, I really want to know what he did and what he said that got him clapped. And I actually have a theory now of what may have taken place.
Oh, shit.
So we saw how YouTube reacted to the Ackman situation, right? And it's like, if you call out YouTube employees or you make those jokes, like the joke he made on Twitter, they're getting rid of you. They don't care. And do you remember how many times Leafy would make jokes about YouTube and how trash the site is? Does anyone remember him saying anything quite off the wall about YouTube?
I'm sure he did, but I couldn't. I'm trying to think in my head.
Does anyone remember anything crazy? I don't, but I remember him always saying this website sucks and YouTube sucks, and him complaining.
Did he ever threaten to like? Didn't he say we should like? Well, that was like after the ban though, like nuke like YouTube HQ or something.
Absolutely, he had to have tweeted out some joke about some attack on YouTube, like or YouTube employees or something. That has to be the reason, because nothing else makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I don't know.
I'm curious. So it's been like a week or two. I'm gonna ask another question about the podcast just because I'm personally like curious. How do you guys feel about like the teaser episode? Like both you and Papa Guy. Like how do y'all feel about the episode y'all did like a couple weeks ago?
I think we should have posted it on my channel as well, but Keemstar didn't like that idea when I recommended it.
Well, you can do it now. We can see what your people are saying about it.
Well, I didn't record it. Like the audio, the audio is a little rough on yours. Yeah, maybe
you can rip it for mine if you want to repost it. I don't care. Well, my whole point is I didn't want it to be your stream and my stream because I'm testing out my new podcast. You know what I mean?
Did you think I was going to try to take some control over it or something?
Or impress the chat?
I figured you'd probably pull way more views, and then if we were going to work together on a project like this, you might pull the like view card when it's like, dude, this is on the Keemstar channel. Like that's not where I'm going to put the podcast.
What? No, I wouldn't. I just wanted to do it for the first one since it wasn't an actual official podcast. It was just like a talk kind of a thing. That's it.
And look, if we have a debate about something, I just want to be very clear. You don't have to fold or be super nice, hoping that we're going to work together or something like that.
Is that what you think I did today?
Well, I don't know. I don't know if you did fold or not, but I just want the real you and your real, what you really think. I don't ever want you and anyone to cuck because they might lose an opportunity.
I would never hold back my perspective just to do a Keemstar podcast. Don't worry.
Right, well, that's good.
Or any podcast for that matter. I will say about the podcast though, because I know that you want to do something like very new and revolutionary. Personally, well, that would probably work with a lot of other people. I don't know how well that would work with the two of us. Like when I look at the two of us, I don't really see us as like an instant success. I see us as like a very slow, very like successful kind of a thing.
He's right about that.
I think that like it's not going to be like a huge like pull for like a bunch of people to be like, oh my goodness. I think it's more going to be like a radio show more that's not like catchy, and I'm not using the word gimmicky to try to be like insulting, but like I don't know if that works well for us. I think it's more like we have the potential together to be something, and I know to be something like comparable to Ethan Klein's podcast, and not because I dislike him or anything, but because he's the most successful podcaster in like the commentary community, I believe. And so I think that's one of the things. That's where I look at it.
Second place is me, of course.
Of course, strong yeah. Strong second, yeah. And you see the disparity between first and second, So like there's which is listen, in all honesty, because I don't really hate Ethan, but I will say one thing. It's something that like I kind of clicked on me the other day, is that there is no alternative to Ethan if people were like, wow, this guy sucks. Like there's nowhere else to go. So even if they hate him for a week, they come back because who the fuck else is comparable? Who else is doing like a weekly podcast
level,
or whatever?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there's nobody else, but I think that could be potentially us. Yeah.
The only middle-aged like white women that we're going to be able to get like from his audience is probably your wife.
A lot of middle-aged white women, a lot of middle-aged women like me a lot in general. Yeah, no.
Okay, well maybe I'm wrong about that.
Yeah. I'm just saying it is because of my wife, because I listen to my wife when she talks and like what the different things that she says, and it helps pull like a female audience because like I listen to the woman's experience. Yeah.
I mean, I know my girlfriend will be watching, but she's not middle-aged.
No. Unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah. So,
how many hot 20-year-olds do you think you're going to pick up from this podcast, Papa Gut? Like,
I'm not interested. I'm not interested in any hot 20-year-olds unless they're trans women, okay?
Oh, I will say this. What you just said is a very strong selling point.
What's that?
That there isn't really a competitor to him.
No, there's not, right?
I don't want to go in that direction though. Oh, it's so cringe. I hate.
Well, because listen, from the vibe I get is that you're not looking for something that's necessarily long term. Like you've got a ton of money, there's really nothing to gain necessarily financially from like a podcast. That would be like a slow build.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Okay, listen. What about me, you, and Def Noodles? That would.
I don't know. I don't think he would do awesome. It. I don't know if he would do it.
To see that, but he would never do it.
I don't know if he would do it. You would bully him.
Well, Def Noodles is way too protected. Although his views are like dipping into the shitter, so maybe he would consider it now. I don't know.
Def Noodles, listen. I don't even care. You
should consider it. But
this is nothing to do with the lawsuit. Let's go fight that thing to the end. But
would you settle out of court with him if he does like if he did a podcast with you? Would you settle and be like, I'll give you $100,000?
No,
what?
Absolutely not.
Why
not?
Never. Not settle to drop it.
He's suing me, so he'd have to drop it.
Well, so I mean, you give him $100,000 for him to drop it, and then do a podcast with him. Why?
No.
$75,000. What else? 75.
No,
pain and suffering.
Not.
You clearly have caused him pain and suffering. Even if you're not.
First of all, wait.
I agree with that. Yeah, no.
I have to
get a fucking therapist because of Keemstar. What do you
True.
mean?
Listen to me. I know you guys are cracking jokes right now, but I can't actually talk about this. I'll get in trouble.
Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah.
How funny would it be for them to do a podcast while being in an active lawsuit against each other, though?
They never.
But I will say this much because I'm pretty sure Def Noodles will hear this. Def Noodles, Keemstar, Papa Gut podcast.
I don't know. Okay, listen. I'm not trying to be offensive.
Have your attorney reach out to my attorney.
Can I ask you a real question? What is the pull for Def Noodles though? And that's not like an insult necessarily, but I can see people would tune into you because like you're a big name, you're entertaining, you'll say whatever the fuck you want, even regardless of if everybody's on your side or not, right? I feel like I bring, maybe a little, I don't know if I want to say credibility, a little more calmness. I don't know, whatever you want to assign to me. But like, what would he bring?
Okay, so Def Noodles is so far left that I like appear to be right.
I don't think he's that far left.
Yeah, neo-Nazi compared to him, dude. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, Papa Gut, have you been seeing like I don't watch his videos, but I see his thumbnails. He's talking about nothing but politics, and he's going like super.
I only saw the Too Mad thing. That was like the last thing I looked at.
Calls everyone alt-right.
Yeah. Okay, so I guess that's
folks. Jordan P.
Do you know how entertaining that would be? Def Noodles, you and me. Like
I don't know if he could handle it though. I genuinely feel bad for the guy.
He can't.
Put him under contract.
Dude,
but that's
he should do it, but he'll never do it.
Dude, Kavas reviewed his channel and he uploaded a video of him breaking down in tears over it too. So
wait, so he's willing to be broken down in tears.
Yeah, but I wouldn't want to do that. Why would you want to do that?
He'll just break down every fucking episode, dude. It'll be funny.
I think Def Noodles could definitely handle a podcast with us.
It would be almost exclusively me running defense for Def. I feel like that's what's going to end up happening. I feel like that's what it's going to boil down to because Keem's going to fucking harass the shit out of this guy so much.
You should join in and harass him too.
Look, I'm not the guy who's like Def should have his life ruined. I'm sure I've said like crazy shit to him or something like that. But like, would you really want to like? This guy's like kind of a bad dude. Like, would you really want to like fucking stick up for him?
I think Def needs his redemption arc. Truly, I think that.
Dude, he's trash.
He can't give himself a redemption.
What do I really care about? What do I actually care about?
Money.
No. Besides,
that's what I would.
Reputation, redemption.
Well, Bowblax,
Def Noodles.
My son got right. I want to entertain the people.
Oh, okay.
I want to entertain the people.
Dude, if you wanted to entertain the people, you would go live every night.
True.
That's too much. I can't.
What do you mean? You're are you too busy?
You know what I want to do? I want to rip Papa Gut's whole style. Just react to videos. Oh my god, I would crush at that.
Do it. Well, of course you would. You already have a name. Go for it. Do it.
Just react to all the same videos Hassan does, but do it better.
Yeah,
well. I want to sell Drumler so bad, but like I can't get a fair offer of what it's really worth. I want to sell Drumler and be free of Drumler and do my podcast. I don't know, TMZ, something like that. I don't know. There's a couple takers. I would sell to the Washington Post. I mean, I don't.
What are they offering?
Wait, disavow?
They were runs the podcast.
What the fuck?
I would leave it to Taylor Lorenz. Let her host it.
No.
Oh
Wait,
my
hold
god.
on, Keem. What did you think about Taylor Lorenz sourcing your article on the VidCon COVID stuff?
Listen, Taylor Lorenz is awesome. She is so awesome, and people don't understand how great she is because Taylor Lorenz doesn't back down.
She's gonna write an article on you now.
You should do a podcast with Taylor Lorenz.
She may have messed up, and she's been called out by everybody, but she doesn't back down. She goes to work every single day and fights the fight, and you gotta respect her for that, dude. Everybody turned on this woman. Everybody turned on her, and she's still out there fighting. And look, without the Taylor Lorenz of the world, what is there to talk about? Is there anything to talk about?
Taylor Lorenz is actively like an endangerment to having fun shit to talk about because everything that's fun to talk about, she writes an article on and tries to fucking ruin their lives over.
But then you have fun talking about her.
Yeah, and then she ruins my life.
How'd she ruin your life? What did she do?
Would you say the same thing
Taylor
about
Lorenz,
Ethan, though? Because
she would never write an article about me because I'm irrelevant, right? But if I was in like a position of like, if I was like huge and I covered a Taylor Lorenz article, she would write articles saying that I'm part of Gamergate and I'm some misogynist, like asshole YouTuber who's like encouraging people to join far right. None of this shit is true, but she would be the type of person to do that if she felt like she could write a convincing article that would get. I mean, she was actively hostile towards all the people who were covering the Amber Heard stuff, right? She was writing articles saying that they were like feeding into like this fucking toxic masculine culture, which
good for her.
I know. I don't
respect that. Ridiculous. What?
Good
I don't.
If the only requirement for respect is like keep going no matter what, shouldn't we also respect Ethan Ralph, Ethan Klein? I mean, they're
true.
Still
I mean,
Ethan.
Even after Ethan called for a threat, he's still going. I gotta respect that.
Still going.
Wait a minute. Yeah.
Gotta respect that Def Noodles keeps going even though he's lying.
Nah. I don't care about those people, but I do like Taylor Lorenz, and I really respect.
Wait, can I ask you a question?
On the podcast.
The way she's able to make people so upset, I love it.
Can I ask you a question, Keem? You said before, if somehow my wife passed away and I didn't kill myself, would I date 20-year-olds? My question is if you and your girlfriend, for whatever reason, something happened, you weren't dating, would you date Taylor Lorenz?
Yeah.
Yes.
What?
You said yes?
Wait,
Yep.
what?
Wow. What is it?
Offers open.
What is it about Taylor Lorenz?
I think she's and I think she's older than me. I think she's older than me.
I think she's 37. How old are you? You're like
Nobody knows
39.
her age.
I thought she was 37. I could have swore. I looked it up.
Hotly debated subject.
Oh shit.
Dude, listen. Everyone knows that me and Taylor Lorenz would be a power couple. Come on.
I mean, it's true. I just was wondering if you would do it.
I feel like this is like when Slasher said he wanted to like fuck Brittany Venti and like have a like fuck somebody who's diametrically opposed to them or something. Like that's what I'm feeling like right now.
Yeah, dude.
No, I listen. I'm half joking, but I actually do like the character and the entertainment value that Taylor Lorenz brings.
What about
to
Hassan?
Would you date Hassan?
No.
No. Well, okay, but do you respect Hassan? I mean, he doesn't really back down. I mean, he got banned. He got banned on Twitch for saying the C word, right?
True.
And when he came back, he started saying it again. He didn't.
I already answered this when you guys were bringing up all the other names. It's just Taylor Lorenz I give that respect to.
I think it's because you think she's cute. That's what it is.
She's hot, yeah.
Yeah. She's not bad looking. Yeah.
Yeah, true.
I don't know. I don't think that's it.
I don't know.
I've known her. I've known Taylor Lorenz for shit since like late 2016, and she she's always been nice and respectful towards me. She wrote a whole article on Drama Alert and stuff. Very nice, positive.
Wow.
I didn't know this.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that she was delusional.
Oh my god.
Wait,
she's a Drama Alert fan.
Hold on, Keem. You're saying that she wrote a whole article like saying Drama Alert was awesome? That has to be one of the worst things she's ever done.
It doesn't matter what you do, as long as you like Drama Alert, you're in Keem's good grace.
Dude, that has to be one of the worst things she's ever done, dude. Promoting Drama Alert. It's too.
Do you remember?
Drama Alert, so
do you remember when? Do you guys remember? Okay, I know you're on Twitch, so I can't say this, right?
Okay.
But remember, PewDiePie got in trouble for having the people hold the sign. And what was on that? It was a sign that
it was an
said,
anti-Semitic sign.
Oh,
Yes.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Now that became a meme, right? And so I went on Ethan Klein's podcast, and he like said he hated me and all this stuff. So on my stream, I said, "Everybody go tweet Ethan Klein the meme." I say the meme thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, if you go to the time of my stream and you go to Twitter and you look for anybody saying that to Ethan Klein, not one of my fans, I'm streaming in front of like 2,000 people, not one of my fans actually did that.
That's incredible.
The reason why they didn't, I had to do all this research to find out if any of my fans actually did it.
How do you know that they didn't? I'm just curious. Like, how would you even?
Because there's a way to search that phrase at Ethan Klein during that time frame on Twitter. You can search all that using desktop.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Bowblax knows the best because that's what he does.
Yeah, that's what I do like all the time. Yeah.
So clearly it was a meme. It was a joke. Like, it's not a real call to action at all, right? And
sounds familiar.
Ethan started, this is a joke. This is clearly a joke. Okay. And so Ethan starts playing that clip out of its context, not bringing up PewDiePie or any reference to that at all. And he's trying to make the case that I'm being anti-Semitic. Kat Brenbarge, or whatever the fuck her name is. Yeah, she starts going on about me being anti-Semitic. I'm like, I had to make multiple Twitter videos being like explaining this whole thing, like I'm explaining it to you guys now, and like tagging these reporters, be like, no, I know what I said is anti-Semitic, but it's like the intent isn't to be anti-Semitic. It's memeing what PewDiePie said at the time and what's going on at the time. And the proof of that is not one single person actually tweeted this at Ethan. Like, it's a joke. And so Taylor Lorenz, who I believe is Jewish, like, I reached out to her. I'm like, I just want you to know, like, I am not anti-Semitic. Like, and she was very pleasant about the whole situation. And she didn't say a negative thing about me.
I think she has a crush on you.
Damn. You should.
I think that's what it is. I think that she has a crush on you.
You got this game.
Docs is already online, Keem.
Wow. It looks like there's a little, I think a couple of years from now, I really think that this might be a thing.
Pay attention.
Power couple.
I'm in love. The girl that I have now is probably the girl I'm going to be with forever.
Hey, hopefully she doesn't break your heart.
Until she's 30. No, I'm just kidding. Until she turns 30. No, I'm joking.
She can't break my heart. I don't have one.
No, I think when you let somebody in, I think that you become a really big, very sensitive softie. So
yeah,
I think that
there's
you
absolutely.
I thought I was
maybe.
I thought I was a psychopath, though.
Who said that?
A sociopath, excuse me, the wrong term. Everybody on the internet.
You definitely are a sociopath on YouTube and maybe in the business world. I don't know. Like,
no, Keemus, once you get to know somebody, once you like them, once you appreciate them, they have too much power over you.
Yeah.
Possibly.
I think that's I noticed that about you.
She's gonna end your career, dude.
She can't.
She'll devastate you.
Dude, she's secretly DMing Ethan Klein the whole time.
That'd be hilarious. Ethan said,
that would be funny as fuck.
She's gonna pull like a fresh and fit on you with that one girl.
I'm gonna
call in. Be like, Keem was such an asshole to me.
I'm gonna say this on stream because we're never actually gonna pull this move, but it would have been brilliant if we did. So Ethan was bragging on his show. He's like, when you and Brantley break up, she's gonna be on here and she's gonna be airing out every horrible thing you've ever said.
Ethan said that?
He said that on his show. So me and Brantley formed this elaborate plan. Like, we had a pen and paper out. Like, we formed this elaborate plan where we were going to stage a breakup. And then she was going to go on there and just go off on him for harassing her. Because she's gotten so much harassment from his fans and his subreddit because of all this. And so we were gonna set him up,
and from people like Papa Guts saying that she's weird for dating.
That's probably
the worst one. Yeah, really bad. I think that's the worst one of all of them. Is me. Actually, genuine question. Don't lie to me. How does she feel specifically about what I said? Like, I know that you talk to her and go like, "Yeah, isn't this hypocritical?" Whatever. What was her input?
She does not care. She really does not care.
Not at all, huh?
She's happy.
No, well, I didn't say that she should be miserable. I asked her what's her commentary on the situation.
Dude, what she says, I should just let her talk. Brantley, are you up?
What is it? Past her bedtime? Like, what? Why wouldn't she be up?
Yeah, I knew that joke was coming. I set it up for you. Good
show your wife at work. What is this stream like? Show your wife at work day? Like, what
yeah, dude. Wait.
That's
too bad nobody else in the call.
Yeah,
can bring...
too bad nobody else can.
No, I think I'm gonna add Salvo just to get his wife on.
What am I doing?
Okay, so here's the question: What do you feel? What do you feel about people who say that you're weird for dating me or our relationship is weird? What are your actual thoughts to that?
I think that people haven't been through what I've been through and they're not in my relationship, so they can't tell me what they think, honestly.
Damn.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
That's kind of the way I see it too. It's like my relationship, you know?
Like, I'm not telling you how to run your relationship. Why are you telling me?
Oh my God, you hear that? I'm not telling you how to run your relationship. Why are you telling me? Yeah, Papa Gut. Why are you saying this is weird?
Well, Papa Gut, how do you respond to this?
I don't know. I think I've been debunked with facts and logic here.
You just got owned.
Well, here's the biggest problem.
I am dating a man that is basically my age, just more mature.
Wait, what?
How is he more mature than you? Explain that.
They're asking.
I would expect him to be.
How am I more mature?
Let's break this down. I'm curious.
There's a lot. Trust me. There's a lot.
There's a lot. That's all you get.
Can I ask her a question? Can I ask her a question?
Yeah.
Can she
repeat it?
Can she hear? Oh, I wanted her to hear me directly.
Wait. All right. Go ahead. Bring
your
head over here.
All right. Really quick question. Can you give me a day-by-day count of how many times Keemstar uses the F slur?
F slur.
She said what F slur?
Oh my! Which one? The homophobic one.
Do I say homophobic statements?
Oh no, because I'm bi. So
my girlfriend's bi, so that would be.
What about racist stuff? Yeah. How much?
The N word.
Do I say the N word?
Have you gotten over the N word?
How many times a day does he mention Ethan Klein to you?
That's a better question. Yeah.
Actually, none until Ethan says something about him.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh no, you brought up Ethan.
So every day. Again.
Generous Keemstar. Okay.
Wow. So mature. Yeah. So mature.
So there you have it.
Yeah.
I bet Gila hears more about Keem than Brantley hears about Ethan.
Can you get me a Diet Coke?
Yeah.
All right, thanks.
Diet Coke.
Wow.
Yeah.
Surprising.
I'm on a diet.
Yeah.
Papa Gut, take notes.
I am. Trust me. Well, I'm not saying diets for notes from that, but I have been eating better.
We all know.
Well, you know what? I wasn't going to tell anybody. I wasn't going to tell anybody this because I hate talking about this stuff. But just brought it up. So I was supposed to do like conversation with like Review Tech USA today, but I had to cancel because I went to the hospital because I thought I was having heart problems.
Oh shoot.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
It's okay. I'm not like fucking. I didn't want to tell anybody because I don't like making it into like oh my god. Like I don't like those YouTubers that are like I almost died today. You know what I mean?
Yeah, a lot of that happens.
It's cringe. So,
what were you gonna talk with Rich about?
I don't know. I think he just wanted to talk. He just was like, "Hey, you want to come out?" I was like, "Yeah, sure, man. That'd be cool." But it never ended up happening. I think he's having a confrontation with the quartering or something. Everybody is. I don't know what the fuck's going on.
Yeah.
Wait, so Papa Gut, like you were doing like TikTok and stuff before this. You're not. Are you like a commentary channel now or something? Is that like?
Yeah, I mean,
like describe that. Like,
I think I've always been like commentary on YouTube.
Yeah.
I just kind of did politics originally, and then like I got bored of it once Trump lost, and then I've been just doing commentary.
Do you have a job?
This.
Oh, you do this. Well, what did you have a job when you were on TikTok? Because there's no way you were making money.
No, I wasn't. Not for a while. Yeah, I had a job. I was like I managed like a bus cleaning crew for a bus company. Yeah.
Okay.
Here's the thing. The thing. If we did a podcast together, Papa Gut,
and
you want to be a competitor, you want to be the alternative to the H3H3 show or whatever.
Sure.
I mean, look, man, like he's in studio. Like if you're gonna compete, You can't do all my podcasts were audio only just because of logistics. You know, I'm in Buffalo, New York, and everyone's all over the place, and they were very successful. But if you're trying to do it on YouTube, both of us need to be in the same studio.
Well,
There's plenty of.
Oh, sorry. If you want to continue.
Well, I was just gonna say, like, Some Ordinary Gamers has a pretty good podcast, but it's never gonna hit the level of 1 million views per episode because it's not in a studio. You know, if I don't know, this is so hard to do without going.
Well,
100%.
if you do a studio aesthetic, one thing I don't think we have to start at 100%. It's like one of those things that could slow build, but you could also just get the studio aesthetic by like doing like whatever, having each person have a camera and then having some kind of like a middle person make it seem like we're in the same spot. If we really wanted to go that route, you know what I mean?
Nah, you got to move to Buffalo.
Fucking Buffalo. Oh my God.
I could put you on a screen. I could put you on a screen in my studio and maybe do it that way.
Well, that you could just take each of our. I'm sure there's like a way for somebody that's like knows what they're doing with like the technical stuff, like cameras and shit. Because I certainly don't. Where they could have us both of our screens going, and then they could pan to different cameras. We could both get a green screen behind us. It could make it seem like we're in the same studio. Like there's a whole thing that they could probably do. Somebody that actually knows what the fuck they're doing. But I also don't
think Keem.
Go ahead.
I think Keem just wants a friend.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, Keem needs a YouTuber to move to Buffalo. He's lonely.
Yeah, it seems like it.
I'm not lonely. I have friends.
Okay.
But you know, I'm just saying, like, that's the one advantage shows like that have. You know who has a great fucking show, an absolutely great podcast? Andrew Schultz. Have you seen that show?
No.
Have you
Andrew
seen that
Schultz?
podcast? Schultz.
The
Yeah.
comedian?
Dude, he has one of the best podcasts. Like, dude, he
I watch
kills
his
it.
comedy stuff all the time. I've never seen his podcast though.
Here's my question though.
Mhm.
I could never do what Joe Rogan does because I would bring someone on and I'd get bored of talking to them.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay. What's your question?
Well, just do a podcast with no guests.
I don't know why I phrased it that way. Yeah.
Oh, is this just like a statement?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. Podcasts don't need guests. People think that like, oh, you need guests and callers and all this shit. You can just do a podcast by yourself. You don't even need co-hosts sometimes. I don't know. You could do a podcast. Hey, Keem, have you ever thought about like doing a podcast on your own?
I could, and if I did do one, I would do an educational one.
About what?
An educational one.
What does that mean?
About anything. I want to teach people stuff because people are dumb. They don't know anything.
Okay.
Like, here's an example. Do you know that trees communicate to each other?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's like not like I don't know the specifics of how they do. I know mushrooms have like their own like electronic code or something where you can plug them into a thing. Yeah.
Trees literally talk to each other in different species of trees. And if one tree is low on nutrients, another tree will loan them nutrients. So
is this your like pitch for communism? Like, oh, look at trees, they function really well when they share.
Are the trees racist to each other? Like if it's like a different type of tree, they're like, I'm not giving you my sap. I'm saving that for my own people.
Wait, Keem,
my
you
own
bought like a pound of chainsaws like a couple months ago. Like you hate the trees.
Wait,
like,
Keem's mass murdering like trees and their families.
Genocide.
What are you talking about?
Well, they're saying that you should have more trees in your property, but you clear them all out.
Yeah.
Wait, how do you guys
I
not know
grow
that
trees. What are you
Keemstar's
saying? I
like
plant
a
trees.
avid chainsaw collector or something? Like,
No, I'm not. Like, what are you talking about? That doesn't make
What
sense.
do you mean? I read
him in line. He
Is this
intimidates
something you
them.
read on Kiwi Farm Smaggle that Keemstar is like he's like a
That's
chainsaw
like
collector?
I was trying to defend him. You know what?
I also heard that.
You like murdering all the plants and animals because you hate the ecosystem.
No, this is a lame joke. No.
It wasn't a lame.
Yeah,
it
he
wasn't
was
a
in
joke.
Mr. Beast's Team
I'm
Trees
trying to
ad,
defend
dude,
the
okay.
One
ecosystem.
for your one contribution to this conversation, you really fucked that one up, buddy.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Well, who are you teaching this
Wait,
to, Keem? Like all this information about trees. Like who do you want to teach?
Anybody that will listen. There's just
Just
so
anybody
much.
that will listen?
There's so much. Like, I would love to make a video talking about this bullshit with the airlines because I have flown so many times where my flight gets canceled. One time, I took a $1,000 flight to, I think, Florida. I was going down to Florida for something. They canceled my flight last minute. I got so frustrated that I bought a private jet, a fucking $40,000 private jet to go from New York to Florida. I got so mad at the fucking airlines that I just don't want to deal with their shit in the fucking airport that I just went and got a fucking private jet and flew down to Florida.
Well, what's the issue though with the airlines? That they keep canceling flights? Is that what the issue you're talking about?
No, dude, it's so deep. All right, listen. So they set up flights and schedule flights like years in advance. All right. So the schedule's done years in advance. However, during the pandemic, nobody was flying. And so these airlines were about to go bankrupt. The government gave them $54 billion to all the airlines and said, look, we'll give you this money so you don't go bankrupt. However, you can't lay off people. All right. We want you to keep these people hired and give them checks. So the airlines agreed to it. They got a shit ton of money, but they found a loophole. They forced a lot of the pilots and a lot of the staff into early retirement and paid them off like a portion of like what they would normally give them and forced them into early retirement. So that's how they saved a little bit of money, is they were able to lay off some people by forcing them into retirement. Now the pandemic is over. Everybody's coming back. There's not enough staff. There's not enough pilots to fly all these planes. So instead of canceling the fucking flights, they're still selling the flights, and people are showing up to the airport and they cancel the flight 5 minutes before it's supposed to take off. And the reason why they're doing that is because everyone has to then get in a line to get their refund or get a new flight or whatever. The people can't sit in the airport for hours, so they just go home, and a lot of people don't even bother getting the refund. So they're just fucking forcing people to pack up their clothes, throw them into their vehicle, drive to the airport, go through the TSA bullshit, and sit there for a fucking flight that's never going to happen. But even further than that, it's fraud. They know that flight's not going to fucking go, and they're still selling it. It's like, this is like, there's so many fucking problems in this fucking country that politicians don't do shit about. So you got that Mayor Pete dude. He's in charge of the transportation or whatever. This is the guy that's in charge. So there's like 500 flights being canceled a day in a single fucking day. So Mayor Pete, who's now in charge of this shit, he goes and has a Zoom meeting with all the airlines to figure out why all these flights are being canceled. And the fucking airlines tell him, oh, well, there's low staff on traffic control and weather and all this other shit. And he believes them. He fucking believes them. So then he goes after that meeting and he's tweeting out, hey, if your flight gets canceled, you know, you could potentially get points, and the points might be worth more money, or air miles might be worth more money than the actual refund is. Like, that's what he tweeted out after having this important meeting with the airlines. And then the very next day, fucking Mayor Pete, the guy in charge of this shit for the government, his own personal flight got fucking canceled, and he's still doing nothing about it.
Why don't you open up your own competitor airway and pay people better?
What I need to do is I need to run for president.
Oh yeah, I'm
true.
Sure.
So true.
The next Donald Trump, yeah.
I need. I don't know about the next Donald Trump.
Keemstar is very Trump-like. You gotta admit, like
yeah,
on YouTube
well,
and stuff.
yeah.
I could see Keem announcing it on Drama where he's running for president.
Imagine Keem like.
Dude, H3 would see that as soon as he hears that information.
Imagine if Keem actually got the Republican nomination or whatever side he does.
I would not bail out any airlines. I would let them go bankrupt.
Well, like, but then how does that's like infrastructure gets completely like destroyed? Like you really couldn't. They're too big to fail. That's the biggest argument with that. Same thing with a lot of banks.
That's a dumb argument.
It's not. It would like you need airlines to not only transport people but also transport like goods, services, like goods really. Like,
these are the people saying capitalism is good, competitive in the marketplace is good. This is the shit that they fucking say.
Yeah. And
then they bail them out. No, absolutely not.
Well, yeah, because it would like collapse society. Do you work for the airlines? Is that your argument to get the $54 billion? No, I'm just saying that these airlines are like very large. You'd have to split them up first before you did something like that.
About being large.
Yeah, exactly. I know about being large.
Let them fail. I would let them fail.
And then what happens if that has like a profoundly negative impact on the economy? Like then you're the president that fucked the economy.
I don't care. I'm letting it fail. Same thing.
And then your approval rating goes to shit.
The banks too. What if you collapse American society?
I don't care.
Wait, I don't even think it matters. I don't think you would do anything. I think it's the Senate, so I don't think that you.
The CEO is going to like sit there and make millions. You know what they did when they got that money? They bought back their stock.
Yeah, I know that.
This is just evil shit. Let them fail.
I agree with it. First, you'd have to split them up, so that like if they wouldn't have so much impact that it would like destroy the economy. Right, and then you could deal with that. That's the problem. Is like it's too big to fail. Same thing with the banks. If they're too large,
if you let every single one of those airlines fail, burn to the ground and fail, go bankrupt, right during the pandemic, you know what happens next?
We're fucked.
Electric fucking planes, Elon Musk, baby.
Why would that be the next step? The next step is like we have no transportation infrastructure.
The next step is every competitor in the world is trying to build an airline.
Well, the next step is Disney goes bankrupt because now they can't get anybody to go there.
Wrong.
You're gonna start destroying businesses. I'm not taking the bait. This is just like you. Listen, if this happens, God bless you. I'll be old by the time you become president, so I don't care. I'll just die. My kids will have a horrible life. But
dude, people like making money. But why would you? Let's say you know, you're a very successful person, you got billions. Yeah. Why would you start an airline? You wouldn't. You want to know why? There's no reason for you to, because the government bailed out these other guys. But if the government let these guys fail, you might start an airline.
Maybe.
And there's no competition.
Probably a big investment into creating an airline.
Have you ever flown in the continental United States? It's the worst experience ever. Our airlines are garbage. The service is garbage.
I haven't had bad experiences. I don't know. I mean, I personally have never had to buy 2 seats.
But you live in New York City, so you don't know what living good is.
I live in New York City. I live on the island. My experiences on flight. I mean, I've never taken a long flight, like maybe 3 hours, but I've never had like a horrible experience. You just chill on the plane, and then you get there, and I get motion sickness.
The airport, one in the chat, if the airport experience in flying somewhere is like the worst experience ever.
I don't mind it. It's not that bad.
Okay, so
you know what? The worst experience ever. It's not the best.
I'm literally debating with people that have never flown in other countries. I've flown in Europe. It's amazing.
Okay.
It's amazing.
Well, compared to other countries, yeah, obviously I'm sure we suck.
Canada, Mexico, and US.
The American airlines are trash. The service is trash. The seats are trash. The planes are dirty and trash. The whole system is garbage compared to Europe.
So why don't you become the competitor? Make an airport or whatever, or make your own airline.
I can't because they exist still. They got bailed out.
No, but you could start like a small airline service.
Keem Airlines.
Yeah, Keemstar Air. Yeah, Keem Air.
Keem Air.
There you go.
Maybe I should.
Drum Alert Nation, dude.
Why not?
Fly to the Drum Alert Nation on Keem Air.
But I'm not entering a fair marketplace because these guys that currently exist, my competitors, have been bailed out by the government, and that is my point.
I don't know, Keem. It sounds like you're not willing to take the risk.
That's not a fair marketplace. They just got $54 billion.
Life's not fair.
Well, YouTube's not a fair marketplace. You see how they treat Ethan Klein compared to Leafy. YouTube's not a fair marketplace. Yeah, you're in it.
You're not being fair in this conversation because you're ignoring the fact that they were given an insane.
I'm not ignoring the fact. I think it's shitty, but the thing is that like your approach is like let them fail. My approach is break them up before letting them fail because it makes more sense so it doesn't collapse society. My solution is just more pragmatic. You have like a very revolutionist.
Keem, when you run for president, make Papa Gut VP. I think Keem Papa Gut.
Yeah, then you'll like disagree. You the best outcome will happen.
You need to hire somebody with like a lot of political experience, like Joe Biden, so that you could like that's what Obama did. Like he didn't have a lot of experience, so he had like Joe Biden as a vice president to give him credibility. You need something like that.
Kamala Harris would get more work done than.
Wait,
Papa
hold on.
Gut
Why not Keem and Joe Rogan?
Keem and Rogan.
Joe Rogan Keem and Rogan.
Well, how have you not gone on Rogan anyway before?
Honestly,
I don't think I could ever do it because I'm actually such a fan, and I don't fanboy to anyone, but Rogan I think is a little different. I think I don't know if I'd be able to be myself on that show. I really
That's a powerful statement, Keem.
Holy shit.
Wow.
I really like that dude, and I really like his show.
Why?
And
Why do you
I
like him
don't-
so much?
Because he reminds me of myself in many ways, where he's just very interested in like everything, like really, really interested. And I guess I'm not entirely like that. Like a lot of shit that's out there is boring to me. But I understand being interested and wanting to learn like the most craziest stuff, and like running with, a crazy story and challenging it, even though no one would give it the time of day, but exploring that idea to see if it somewhat makes sense. Like that's me in a nutshell. And the fact that he's himself, he doesn't seem like anyone's been able to actually control him, or society's been able to manipulate him. And that also resonates with me.
Okay, cool.
Nice.
If you get an offer to go on, you should take it, in my opinion.
I would say no.
You would say no. Why would you say no?
Really? Because
you lack that much
talk to
confidence
Rogan?
in your ability to talk to Joe Rogan that you'd say no, Keemstar? What the fuck? Crazy.
I mean, it's
I
fine
think
to
it.
be
I think it would like ruin. It might ruin the show for me being on there. I don't know.
What about
I
Tim
like
Pool?
being a fan.
Yeah, you want that
it's just one
innocence.
episode though. Out of
Like being a
thousands.
fan. If I end up on there, I don't know. I've been really blessed in life. I've got to meet a bunch of celebrities and be friends with celebrities and famous YouTubers, and be successful and all that stuff. And I don't have much of the Dan Keem experience in life. If I go into like a Walmart, I say this all the time, but it's true. If I go into Walmart, I can't leave the bitch without taking at least 10 pictures with people. So it's like,
damn,
this one thing where I'm a fan of this show, I don't want to be ruined.
Oh yeah, it's like the last thing you're like a viewer of, and not
Keem
a
wants
guest.
Not the
That
last
makes
thing,
sense.
but you know what I mean.
Well, yeah,
You know what I mean?
that
He
actually
wants the
makes
level of
sense.
innocence you have when you're just a viewer, right? Like
Yeah,
we're all content creators. We all create content, and we've kind of, to some extent forgotten that experience of just watching these people, like before I was doing content, I was watching all these YouTubers.
There's still a lot of like shows and stuff that are out of my reach though, that I still feel like I would be more of a viewer than a fellow creator.
Well, why don't you try to
here's
get
an
on the
example.
H3 podcast, Keemstar?
True.
I was like the third person on that
No,
show,
go for it again.
and
Go on there with a vengeance. Get some confrontation going.
You know what he would have done? You know what he could have done that would have been the smartest thing he ever could have done, is when Trisha left, if he would have done frenemies with me.
Why don't you reach out to him and say, let's do frenemies
would've-
together?
He'll
That
never
is the-
agree
Well,
to
that would be the only way that his show would stay at the level it was at.
Yeah,
that would be the only way.
He should have done that, but he'll never have you on, I don't think.
I don't think he'll
extremely
ever have
stubborn
you
with
on
that.
because it would be working with somebody that he's demonized so much. It'd be like if he did a show with like Hitler. That's how his audience would unironically probably look at it. As crazy as that fucking sounds, that's probably how
I mean, he doesn't have to be buddy. He can like fight with him.
Yeah, but they would be business partners by default, right? So his audience would be like, really? You're going to do business with like the worst guy on the internet, which is what they think Keem is.
I've actually lost a lot of hate for the guy. Like I used to hate the guy, and I
don't hate him now.
Still, part of me does, but it's way like calmed down from what it used to be like a couple years ago.
Well,
and I think part of the reason why I stopped hating him so much is because I think he's ill. I don't think he's like
cool,
healthy.
Yeah.
No, mentally, like I think he's ill. I think he's like sick mentally.
Why?
Yeah.
Why do you think he's mentally sick? What is that? I don't.
Because I have the advantage of knowing him for fucking since like 2014 or something like that.
Okay.
I have the advantage of knowing this guy for a very long time and speaking to him privately and publicly and watching him privately and publicly, and he has changed so much, and he says so much dumb stuff and acts in such a weird way, and he's gained, look, if you gain a ton of weight and you're being really unhealthy as well, that can mess with your mental ability, I would assume. And
Pop a gut.
I'm serious. And I you don't think that's possible that somebody's being unhealthy lifestyle?
Oh yeah, I get. Yes, I wasn't reacting to that. He said pop a gut. I was like, okay. Uncalled for. Uncalled for, Bowblax.
And if you look at the comments, of like people criticizing him recently, especially over the last couple months, they're like, they use terms like unhinged and he's lost it and all this other stuff.
I've seen people use that about you too.
Yeah, but I think part of that is true with him. I don't think that mentally.
You don't think you're unhinged?
No, I'm not unhinged.
You were going on a rant about trees and airplanes before.
I'm probably the only sane person on the internet.
That's the most unhinged thing I've ever heard you say.
He's eccentric.
Eccentric? No. The whole world has gone crazy. The entire world has gone crazy. Our society, our culture is crazy. And I feel like I'm the last logical, sane person alive. When I go on Twitter and I see some of the stuff being said and people reacting to each other, I'm looking at a world that is like an altered dimension.
But Twitter is not real life. Like Twitter is not at all an accurate representation of what real life is, though.
True, but that's what I'm talking about, is the online community and how we communicate with each other through online social media seems like an alternate reality. It seems like a different dimension than base reality, and I feel like I'm the last one living in base reality.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's the least unhinged thing I've ever heard.
When I said eccentric, I meant less about your opinions and more about the way you say them and stuff. I mean, there's a reason you're such a popular and interesting creator that a lot of people talk about, is because you're unique in the way you present your opinions, right?
Is he? Maybe. He's like every guy I used to work with. Not like a little bit like that. Like,
I mean, how many other content creators acted like Keem over the last years and stuff? Like, no
that's true.
YouTuber has ever done Twitter videos and said their mind on everything. And
Def Noodles does that.
I do that.
Oh yeah, of course. Well, I would call Augie eccentric as well. That's a compliment, by the way, not an insult.
Well, Keem's one of the few people that actually has maintained a following. I think that longevity is not something that's really existing on the internet.
Yeah, so I'd say he's unique in that way, but
maybe Keem used to be eccentric, but he doesn't stream. That's all I'm gonna push Keem to do is just stream, because I think that was his best content.
I mean, he used to be more eccentric. Remember the shit he said about what was that that kid you played Rust with, who
dude,
shit Dash or whatever.
Streams?
Yeah,
Rust was
kept making fun of him not having a father and shit.
Some kid broke into my house, stole everything that I've ever worked for, right? And I said, I hope,
in Rust or
dies.
In Rust.
Oh, I was like, what the fuck?
In real life, he broke into your house.
Damn, dude.
Everything.
It was morally wrong when you said something to him on Twitter.
Listen, he breaks into my house, he steals all my hard work, he steals everything from me and runs away. And I have a gamer moment where I'm like, I hope every bad thing happens to you, you get terminally ill disease, all this stuff, Christ. Right? And people try to cancel me for that, and I'm like, well, he just robbed me. You saw him. He just stole from me. I have every right in the game to murder him, but I can't say some bad stuff.
Honestly,
well, it's a little bit different.
Real life, it could be questionable whether or not you have the authority to kill him in real life. It's up for debate, right?
That's what I'm saying.
Rust is serious shit.
In the game, I have permissions by the laws of the game to murder him, but I can't verbally say I hope his dog dies.
Well, it sounded like you said that he hope he gets cancer is what it sounded like you said. You said terminally ill.
I didn't say those exact words, but maybe I did say that. But what's wrong with that? He just stole it from me.
That's sad. You're putting that energy out there, okay? Like, aren't you?
He robbed me. He robbed me.
The way you talk about it is that if he actually robbed you, I sincerely thought that he went to your fucking real life house, but he went to your house in Rust, and you're like, he fucking robbed me. It's like that's part of the game, no?
But it's also part of the game to talk a bunch of shit, right?
Why play the game if it's not going to be immersive? If you're not going to be in the game?
Oh my god! If you can't just say horrible things to people, yeah, okay.
Yeah, like what's the point if you can't call people the N word in voice?
No, but what I'm saying is, I was immersive.
The whole
I was
game is
actually
over at that point, right?
I was immersive. I was
button.
immersive. I was actually in the game, and this guy really robbed me. Like he stole my stuff, so I get to say mean stuff about him.
Yeah, you say
And
whatever you
his
want.
dog.
Say whatever you want.
Yeah.
You just got some hate
And his
online. It's not that
dog.
big of a deal.
Yeah, but you can't cancel me for that.
Oh,
He
weird.
robbed me.
Okay. It didn't sound like anybody did. It just sounded like they were like, "That's not nice, Keemstar," and then that's the end of it.
No, they tried to cancel me for that. They play that clip over and over again. See, he's a bad
Well,
guy.
I think that would be considered bullying because if you say stuff like that and they actually like take their own life, then like,
I
that
was
would
the victim. I am the victim.
the victim.
He robbed me. He robbed my house, bro.
How are you not unhinged?
If Keem got his house robbed, if Keem got his house robbed in Rust and he killed himself, then that kid would be responsible for murder.
Yeah, true.
That's that you are consenting to that activity when you play the game, but you're not consenting into somebody telling you to take your own life or tell you that you should get cancer or making fun of your whatever other thing you started.
When I go
let's see if this guy
outside, I
agrees with me.
consent to the possibility that somebody might like beat me up on like the subway or something.
No, you
right?
don't.
It's
You
just,
don't
like,
consent
that's
to it. It's a possibility.
It's
Doesn't
like
mean
a
you
part of
consent to
life
it.
that it's like that could happen, right?
It could happen, but that doesn't mean you consent to that action. Like if there's
At
like
least I know that it could happen, right? Just like how when I log in and play a game, I know that if I like fuck with somebody, they might talk some shit to me or something.
Well,
That's
yeah.
just how I see it.
well, yeah, if you fuck with somebody, but when you play a game, what you're consenting to
You're
is what
victim blaming. You are victim blaming, Papa God.
Oh
You're
my
victim
God.
blaming.
Yeah, he's
That's
a victim
exactly
of
what you're doing.
robbery.
Yeah,
but
victim blaming.
Keem doesn't say that shit anymore to people, dude.
Yeah.
That's why I softened up.
Do in the private sector.
Wow. They don't. They
Shoot
can't
in
tell it's you.
public, dude.
They can't tell that it's you, and they don't record you and put you up on the internet.
They can.
Keemstar
they
tells me
should.
to
He
kill
uses
myself.
he uses a voice. He must use a voice
Just
changer.
uploaded a YouTube video.
Keem, if
Halo
I
3 all over again.
if I ever saw you in Rust and you told me to like kill myself and like were doxing me and shit or doing horrible shit to me, I would 1,000,000% upload that to my channel.
Yeah.
That'd be good content.
Absolutely.
By the way, I don't dox people in.
I was just adding that just to be an ass.
Doxed in Rust,
Christ,
dude. He
in
doxed his Rust location.
That's a
Dude,
little
he
too
doxed
far.
you.
That's a little too
Yeah.
far.
He doxed you. He went to your house in Rust.
Wait, but he stole everything.
Yeah, wait. He doxed your house, dude.
Yeah.
In Rust.
Wow.
There is this website though where you can see who's on the server and like when they're on the server in Rust. So I would wait until my enemies would go offline and then I would go rob their house. I'd blow up their house. I'd
I love
Damn.
that shit.
rage them. Yeah.
Worth.
What are you playing right now, Keem?
One time I was on this server on Rust and these guys killed me. It was like a big clan and they had all the loot and everything, right?
Oh.
They killed me. So I went to the server mod and I gave him I think like $500 to just flatten their building for me.
Damn.
That's awesome.
Well, that's a good investment. What was the return on that investment there, Keem?
It just goes to show like the rich rule the world, man.
I know. You could have donated that to a homeless person.
true.
You should start an organization.
Oh,
You should start your own charity that's against bullying.
Hold up.
Wait, hold on.
Hold up. Stop talking. I did donate it to a homeless person. I donated $500 and made these bitches homeless.
Well,
Yeah.
There you go. That's true, I suppose.
Wait, how can
but you didn't give it to the
complain
person's
about,
house.
Hold on, Papa God. How can
Okay,
you
okay,
complain
okay.
about how can you complain about the airline industry and how about Wall Street fucking or the US government giving money millions of dollars back to the airline companies when you bribed a mod to flatten some guy's house in Rust? Isn't it kind of hypocritical?
What?
What are you saying?
You're so hard not to bully you.
I
I'm sorry.
swear to God, dude.
I'm just kidding. man.
I'm trying not to be
No,
able
No,
to
what do
so
you-
hard right
what do you
now. Holy
mean?
shit.
The rich fucking people, the
Yeah.
government was giving money back to the airports to be rich. And
Okay.
Keemstar gave money to the mod, so he's making him rich in order
$500
to
is making
fuck over.
$500 is rich,
$500.
maybe to you, Smaggle.
Well, where I'm just curious, like, where's my hypocrisy? You know, like, what's the?
Smaggle, are you a character or is that really you? Why do you talk like that?
Oh my god.
Yeah, that's literally me. Yeah.
I'm sorry. What are you?
Oh,
What are
okay.
you? What are you doing, dude?
What are you doing, Kim? You're engaging in some.
Are you like actually that retarded, or?
Oh my god!
Just what? I'm asking a question. I want to know if that's how he really talks, or if we're
yeah, but you
being,
know
like-
that the way that you're asking it is like even asking the question, it's like an asshole.
So why do you sound like that? What is wrong?
Dude, I'm asking what you guys are all thinking.
I'm not
Like,
thinking anything. I don't go like, let me question everybody's the way everything about everybody.
Retarded every time you speak.
Let me be clear here, all right? Smaggle is a good friend of mine, all right, and
Yeah.
I talk to him like this every day. He has a tough skin.
Yeah, but he's not.
I
But he's
love
not Keem's friend. Keemstar doesn't get the privilege of talking to him like that. Okay.
Yeah,
tough
yeah.
skin because he's a
Everyone has
lizard.
asked me that question a year ago. So, I'm fine with him asking the question. Yeah, this is how I speak. This is usually how my retarded brain
Are
works.
you gonna get it fixed, or?
Well, let me
no,
ask
I'm
you
not.
something.
You guys are so fucking edgy. Jesus Christ.
Papa God is gonna get canceled just for being in this fucking
I'm not gonna get
call, I swear to
canceled,
God.
but I'm older now. I don't usually partake in this level of
Okay,
edginess.
Tell me
you
this.
and Ricky Berwick had a race. Who would win?
Me and Ricky
Oh,
Berwick.
Oh, you and
Oh,
Smaggle.
What?
Smaggle and Ricky Berwick. If you guys raced, who would win?
Well, I would probably win because
Um,
I have functioning legs.
Yeah, but you'd probably get like tired after like 2 steps from your brittle bones, dude.
What do you mean?
Damn.
brittle
Why is
bones?
Bowblax
I have
so
long
aggressive
fucking
tonight? What-
I don't know. He's in rare form.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Bowblax, don't you have a disability too?
Hell yeah, dude, but it makes me stronger.
Yeah.
Oh,
Wow.
okay.
Incredible.
Incredible.
Smaggle
stuff.
just sounds drunk 24/7.
Papa got-
Oh my god.
You used
Yeah,
to engage in edgy humor on TikTok, and then you got banned
Yeah,
for it,
what
right?
happened?
I still engage in edgy humor on my channel.
Why are you afraid of saying a retard, bro?
I'm not afraid of saying the word. I just don't
You
think.
had on Wednesday. You had an entire debate with Stardust about how the R word is a slur. And you
Yeah.
don't say it.
You can't.
I had
can't
a.
say that on Twitch, can you?
No, you're not really
You
supposed
can.
to. Well, not really. It could.
Oh,
it could.
really? Well,
Yeah.
fuck, I disavow then. I disavow Twitch.
I
I
have
know.
the R word pass, so Bowblax can say it.
I thought like all the normie streamers use retard still. Like
Some
Ninja and
of
shit.
them do. But usually I don't.
I don't. Has
Has to
anyone
play it safe.
actually got banned on Twitch for saying that word, like straight up? Like that's the reason.
I wouldn't. I don't know, but I
Like
wouldn't
a
be
couple-
surprised. To be fair,
Like a couple years ago, it was a very popular term to get banned from. That and the N-word soft day.
I
were
thought people
two
still
very popular
use
terms.
like autistic as an insult on Twitch and not get like really fucked with.
Yeah,
or
I think that's
anything.
worse. I think using autistic as an insult.
Well, I think
is
it.
worse than
I mean, it
saying
depends
retard.
on like how much heat you get. You know, if somebody points it out, you probably get
True.
punished.
Yeah.
You
If
get
somebody.
punished.
If
Do
nobody
they
like
ban? Do
is
they
mad at the
ban
clip, you're
black?
fine, I guess.
Do they ban black creators for
No.
saying the N word with an A?
I think so.
I don't.
They
I don't.
have.
I don't
what?
think so. Maybe. I mean, if they might have, I don't think so. They usually.
I've
do.
heard. I've seen that happen before.
It's
I don't know.
happened.
Actually, I think it's ER though. And I think it might be ER.
Yeah, it's a good show.
Did you guys see that? Did you guys see that pro Fortnite pro who just flat out jumped on a stream and said like?
Oh, wait,
ER?
actually-
Yeah,
the-
what?
Censored? Yeah, that guy.
Yeah. What do you think about
Yeah.
that? Do you think that it was okay? Keemstar?
Absolutely
Remind of your
not.
past.
Okay, I was just curious.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
What did you
I
think?
don't-
What did you guys think of his apology? Did y'all read that?
No, not at all.
He
I thought
wasn't
it was
being
authentic.
genuine.
I thought it was authentic.
No, I don't.
Well, what was his apology? I mean, I was around friends, and this
said-
is what we use. Like that was his
No,
only argument.
He basically said like, dude, I engaged in this toxic thing because do you really think like a guy like that is an actual racist, or do you think
No.
he is in a group of friends where they say messed up things to make each other laugh, and he jumped on a stream, said some messed up things, and we're live.
Well, I mean, look, I'm just gonna
Probably.
be flat out honest. Like, I say like horrible fucking things around my friends and stuff, but I'm not genuinely like when I say this, I'm not a racist at all. Like, I think that's just fucking retarded. Sorry, stupid. I know we just.
Just say it. We've
I
said
know,
it so many
I
times
know,
at
I
this
know,
point.
I know, I know.
I
Bowblax
don't
is
know.
really upset about the conversation I had yesterday. I saw you on Twitter with
No,
your.
you just said you like edgy humor.
Yeah, I don't think that
And,
you.
like,
I don't think you
2
need to
days
use.
ago-
I don't think that you need to use that word to have edgy humor. You know.
I don't even think using that word is edgy. I'm gonna be real.
Well,
I don't think
it is certainly edgy. Like I think that you guys are in a very edgy sphere. It is a very.
I gotta
Well,
go. I gotta go.
All
I
right.
gotta
gotta
go.
go?
My girlfriends are fighting. See ya.
All right.
See a retard.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Jesus Christ!
Well, I gotta say this, all right? When it comes to edgy people, I'll say this and then I'll let Bowblax speak. When it comes to edgy people in the community, I would say I'm probably one of the only people who actually engages in like edgy humor. Like, I don't consider people like Bowblax, like Nick Diorio, to be that edgy. I mean, Bowblax is definitely being edgier tonight on stream than he usually is, but I don't really think Bowblax is like an edgy guy. Yeah. I engage in a lot of edgy shit. I'm offended too. I'll talk about it.
Slur. Papa Gut.
Yes.
Okay, but you do say those words though. Like, come on now.
No, I don't even know what they are.
Well, let's just be honest here, okay? Like, for the sake of, because I'm being honest with what I say. I think you should be honest with what you say.
Lord.
Yeah, say the N-word right now.
No, that's not what I'm saying at all. That's not what I'm saying at all.
Honest.
I didn't say be honest and say it. I said be honest with what you do say in private.
All right.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
Be honest. Take your shirt off.
Yeah, I've said those words.
What the?
What? Why would you? Okay.
What? I want to call you retard.
What?
Right,
I was
Arslan.
Hey, relax.
Fucking
Anyway, I'm trying to find
video.
my
Jeez.
R-word tweet.
I will. Yeah, you find that. This was a fun. This was a fun conversation though. Like, this is a good one.
Papa Gut's wife and Keemstar's girlfriend to be on Augie's show.
You never, you never know what'll happen.
Should have got them
Always
both
crazy.
on at the same time. They should start a podcast, dude.
I don't know about
Both of
that.
them together.
Well, one of the things that, like, but I never did say, it's one of the things that, is my wife doesn't like to really be talked about that much. And so that's one of the things that bothers her, is that, like, she's getting pulled into conversations unprompted for literally no reason.
Yeah, I'm sure she's not happy about people discussing her weight online.
I have no, it's just in general, like any, like these, like it's unnecessary.
Yeah.
She doesn't weigh in on stuff. She didn't interact with that guy, but he decided to like bring her into it for no reason.
I mean, yeah, look, I'll be honest and stuff. Like, one of like the hardest things that I had to like get used to when I started doing like more stuff on the internet, and this is like years ago, but not recent, but it was getting used to like having other people talk about you. Like, I remember like when I first got doxxed and people were doing streams about like my family, that was like blowing my mind, like in a bad way.
Yeah,
like I was just like, holy shit. I'd never once thought in my life that I would ever tune into a stream and see my parents like on the screen and stuff. You know what I mean?
I guess it is crazy. For me, that started happening like right as I got into commentary with the Pokemon thing. So it was like all kind of like at once. I didn't really have
exactly.
Any, like,
it's because human beings, like, we aren't supposed to be like talked about as much as we are. And the thing with YouTube and streaming and shit is it almost like you're not nearly as famous as a celebrity, but you experience like a lot of similar like things that like ruin their lives now affect yours, overexposure to people, who knows, other factors that,
Yeah, I mean, it's still worth calling out. It's still not like a, it's especially because like the guy that I had an interaction with, he was somebody who exists in the high value man sphere. So for me, like as a man, like that's one of the things you don't do is talk about another man's wife, especially unprompted. So like there's an additional layer there. I never got into talking to Keemstar about that, but that's like an additional layer there as well. Like it's a sign of like, it's just completely unnecessary. Those are fighting words, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's also he's not talking about you. He's talking about like someone that you're obviously like very close with.
Yeah, stop talking about my girlfriend, Bowblax. What the fuck?
Yeah.
My wife. I'm just kidding.
No. Because like when Mr. Girl commented on my sister, obviously.
Oh, of course you have to reference fucking Mr. Girl.
What do you mean? It's relevant to the conversation.
Every single fucking day you reference Mr. Girl because
no, I don't.
He lives rent-free in your head.
When was the last time I tweeted about that guy?
I'm assuming I'm assuming you guys aren't fans of Mr. Girl, yeah?
I'm not. No.
Oh, wow.
I'm neutral to him.
I'm not.
I don't really know what.
I think he's like a toxic, abusive piece of shit. So
I think he's a troll. I think it's.
I think it's easy.
I will say.
I think it's easy to boil him down to a troll because he's so fucking preposterous, and it's easier to just pretend like he's not as like worthless as he is.
Well, I mean, if the dude is going to be saying that like the Cuties review was like his actual opinion, and then he's going to make like meme songs about pedophilia, like obviously I'm going to think he's a troll.
But every fucking thing he said on stream backs up his opinion. He's never
I'll say this about Mr. Girl.
If that's the case, he's never broken.
He's like this. And people say he might be like an Andy Kaufman character, but like, what's the worst case scenario? Guys, I pretended I was abusive, and then you believed it. It's like, oh, okay, you really got me, asshole. You know what I mean? So like, we can operate as if like I'm watching his girlfriend cry on camera as he completely oversteps her boundaries is like really shitty behavior. And then him having like a month-long mental breakdown because Destiny says like, yeah, so Destiny believes a joke someone makes. I don't know if you guys heard about that. Like someone's like, oh, Mr. Girl like controls his girlfriend's phone usage, and Destiny's like, yeah, I could see that. And then for like an actual month, he's melting down about it. He's like, I can't believe you believe that about me. What the fuck? And he's like upset about it. But it's like, yeah, that's because he seems like the kind of person to do that. It's weird how sensitive he is, and it's also weird how much he's like in love with Destiny.
I
mean, it's weird how
I'll say this to Mr. Girl. Wait, hold on. Let me speak because I've been trying to butt in for a second here. I'll say this about Mr. Girl is that his arguments, a lot of people will break down like what he says as like really like professional or like profound or something. Like he says the things that everyone else is too afraid to say. Based on my conversation with them, I thought that a lot of the arguments he was making were actually really simple. Like Mr. Girl will either make one of two arguments. He'll either say something that sounds horrible, but when you break it down, it's actually something everybody believes in and isn't that weird, but he's saying it in a weird way. Or the other things he'll argue for are just actually kind of weird, right? So he was like sitting here telling me that just because people have pedophilic thoughts doesn't mean that you should be concerned of them being a pedophile. So I responded to him by saying, okay, let's say you were going to go on a camping trip with like somebody and they frequently expressed like murderous, like, you know, ideas of like wanting to like kill you or some shit, right? Would you think twice about going on a camping trip with that person if you knew they frequently fantasize about like killing you? And he was like, well, of course I would. And I was like, yeah, exactly. So in the same way, if somebody was having like frequent, and they were open about it, frequent thoughts about wanting to have sex with children, you would think like, Jesus, I got it. Like this guy is like fucked or something, or he needs help or to be away from children. Like this guy's nuts.
No, yeah. My thing is like he talks about information in a way. I mean, I don't know if you say factual, but like let's say factual way. But his like expression behind it is totally different. Like I remember him talking about, he was talking about how he used to be physically abusive, and people who, you know, I imagine who used to be physically abusive, they would be at least like ashamed of it, not proud of the moment. They would be like upset. They'd be what's the word I'm looking for? Like not for, like forgiving.
It'd be a really low part of their life.
Yeah. There's a word I'm like looking for. But they would be like, you know, embarrassed about it, ashamed. Yeah. The way he talks about it doesn't feel that way. Like I remember hearing him talk about like why he stopped, and he doesn't seem to have any like empathy in him. And he's like, yeah, I stopped because it seemed like it was because he wasn't, when he was being abusive physically, his girlfriends were doing what they thought he wanted, but it didn't feel fulfilling enough. So it doesn't even sound like he stopped because he felt like a horrible piece of shit. It sounds like he stopped because he wasn't getting his desired outcome. And when he talks, it just seems like justification for what it's like. There's no empathy there. Yeah, like there was another. Yeah, it's always like that.
Like when he talks about like the pedophile stuff, it seems like he's just justifying him having thoughts sexually about people underage.
Yeah, and he doesn't seem ashamed of it. He's like, yeah, this is okay. This is totally normal, and it's not totally normal.
And then he acts like everyone does it too.
Yeah.
So, like,
that's another problem as well.
And what bothers me is that if you like agree with Mr. Girl in any capacity, that means you agree that most men have pedophilic thoughts, which I heavily disagree with. Obviously,
they probably don't. I know that like he would probably reference. I think there was a study done on males. I want to say 16 to 22. I could be totally wrong about that. Where I think that they put like a naked image of a young girl in front of them, and they got. There was like a 25% of them got, or 20 to 25% of them had some kind of like a response. I think it was like a penis response, right? So like he would probably reference a penis, like he got attracted to the image, even if they knew that they shouldn't, which lends to the idea that like maybe there's like social conditioning. Well, obviously there's social conditioning pushing men away from being attracted to children.
That's good.
That's a good thing. No, it's a great thing.
Good social conditioning.
You know, but like it doesn't mean that like all grown men are like, yeah, I cannot wait for like. Well, I think generally most men, as they get older, tend to prefer older women. That might be social, that might be biological, but that seems to be like that seems to be the general trend. You know.
What Mr. Girl takes is he takes like the Keemstar idea, like, but way more further.
I wouldn't even insult Keemstar.
I wouldn't even say that.
No.
What's up, Curly?
What's up, Curly? How you doing, brother? Hold on. Let me break this down before people take that the wrong way.
Before Keem comes back and yells at you.
Okay, that's not at all what I was saying. What I'm saying
he's gonna blame me for it.
Sits here and talks all the time about how it's natural. Guys want to date younger women. They're attracted to like a fresh, hot, young 20-year-old. Mr. Girl takes it as like guys think the exact same thing, also about 14-year-olds.
Yeah.
And it's like, no.
Yeah,
I don't know about
literally, no.
I'm sure some do, but I don't think this is. And even if it was a normal thing, let's say it was a quote unquote normal thing in the sense that this happens to like a majority of men. It's not good. Just because it's normal doesn't mean it's good, right?
Well, yeah, that would be the social conditioning aspect. So like, let's say that there is like a biological imperative for some reason I wouldn't even say that it's like younger men, like early 20s. Let's say like a bunch of like early 20s, like younger men might be attracted to like a 14 to 16-year-old biologically, maybe. That's why we have like social conditioning, because we know it's inappropriate, because like you can't consent at 14. Like you're not developed enough. So like that's why it becomes unattractive. So like if you haven't learned that somehow, like that's clearly that's an indication of a massive problem.
Yeah. I don't know. Mr. Girl just strikes me like he does the one thing that's good about him is that he makes for interesting conversation, I guess. Some of the talks I think he's had. Well, some of the talks I think he's had have been. If there's anything that's good to say about Mr. Girl, I think he's more interesting than like a lot of the other Twitch streamers in his sphere or something.
Yeah.
Well, it's because he's controversial.
I mean, EDP's kind of interesting, you know.
Look, he's good for a conversation, right? I mean, there is. Okay, all right, Bowblax.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, okay, he's interesting. Yeah,
I think
interesting
he
too.
is like
what?
he's a topic to talk about. Like I get what you're saying from a content creation perspective, but it doesn't mean that like he should exist. And I'm not saying that he should get banned, but like he's not a good person. No, well, I mean, listen, but what I meant in like the commentary sphere. Like he probably shouldn't.
I wanted to clarify since we're talking about such heated topic. Yeah.
I think the conversation we're having right now about him is interesting. So that's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that we need to have Mr. Girl for, you know, life to be better.
I think he's a bad person, and I think that he's like a very poor excuse for a man. Because like I don't know if you've noticed, but when he talks to women, he seems to just have like a disrespectful tone. Like he like fundamentally like disrespects women. And then when Destiny is like treats women like people, he's like, "Oh, you're being like basically such a simp." It's like weird as fuck. I mean, he really just like has this thing. He just really
interesting.
Like hates. He just doesn't like women. Like there's really nothing that I look at him and go like, wow, like there's something of value here. Like he's not even he's not like massively intelligent. Like he's fairly smart.
He's a dumbass.
But he like it's not like he's saying anything like profound. He's just saying controversial things.
That's exactly how I feel.
That's it.
I've had a very similar conversation.
I'm not saying I'm intelligent. Friends. I'm just saying like.
Oh yeah, I don't think I'm very intelligent. I think I'm average, maybe. I don't know. But like, look, when I say Mr. Girl, I'm just saying like I think people overinflate like, damn, Mr. Girl's really saying something incredible right now. I don't know if he's necessarily doing. I just think he's like the one guy who exists that like is like here's the counter alternative for topics like pedophilia, stuff that 99.9% of other people aren't going to touch.
I think
there's no reason.
Yeah, I think that the people who latch onto him are people who feel represented by his like just the shitty his like justification for shitty behavior. I think it's probably a bunch of abusive men.
A lot of like. What about like pedophiles?
I don't know necessarily about pedophile. Maybe some people who are like, yeah, I have those thoughts too. But like, I think it's like a lot of guys that like are abusive and shit. There's like a lot of people who I think that that's what they pick up from him. You know, like not anybody's community is not full of people that are like super intelligent that like understand the nuances of anything you're saying. A lot of them are very bare bones about what's saying. They'll usually interpret what you're saying in like a very dull way. I think that that's most of his audience. I'm sure that there are some people that are like, I really like the nuance in what he's saying, but most of it's like, you know, people aren't sitting here and thinking that deep into like content. You know, like you can go on like you can go on like a 10-minute thoughtful rant about something, and they'll manage to just remove everything that you said in that. Like every day it happens. Anytime like I'll do like a conversation or something, and people in the comments are like, yeah, but what about this? Like I literally said that. You know. So I think that's all it is. I think it's just a bunch of self-reporting, like men that like don't give a shit about women, which there's a lot of like, you know, and I just argue that's part of like almost the manosphere. There's a lot of people like that.
I guess. I don't know why Stardust is
so into like
with him, but
well, I like Stardust because I mean I've talked to her before.
Stardust
She's cool
too, but I don't like that.
It seems like
she what she wants, but I don't like Mr. Girl.
Well, it's not just Mr. Girl. Didn't she talk to like an actual like unironically neo-Nazi person?
She talked to Richard Spencer.
She
Yeah.
doesn't just talk. No, I'm
with
fine
Richard
with her
Spencer.
talking with Mr. Girl, but Mr. Girl's like her good friend, and she.
Well,
like,
that's what I mean.
defends
Like,
him and
I didn't watch the conversation with her and that Richard Spencer, but my understanding is he's actually a neo-Nazi. Like, I looked him up, and that was the first thing it said.
You didn't know Richard Spencer was before that?
I no idea. But like, it
He
seems
was
like
essentially the poster child for like the alt-right.
Yeah.
On the
Okay.
internet in 2017.
It sounds like he is like I understand like platforming people like that to have a conversation in disagreement, but it sounds like they had like a nice conversation. So I could see why people would be like, oh, like listen, it kind of gives people like Heffels, and I don't know too much about her either, but a little like ammunition calling you somebody that's like alt-right if you have friendly conversations with somebody who's like a who like owns and is proud that they're a Nazi, you know?
If she has any conversation with somebody like that, it should always be like combative.
I don't think that you should be having friendly conversation with like literal Nazis. Yeah. Like I understand like the idea of like, you know, political disagreements and whatnot. Cause like I have conservative friends and family and like, that's different, but we're not talking about like a conservative. We're talking about somebody that is like incredibly far right, like somebody who's like a Nazi. I mean, that's a whole other level. I don't think we should be being friends with those people. You know what I mean? Like, I think that that's where I would draw the line generally. I think it's a decent line, you know?
Yeah, you can platform someone without being friends with them. Though.
Well, that's what I was saying.
Yeah.
I was saying like that's if she platformed them to disagree with them, fine. And you don't have to like come in there and scream at them. But like, I don't know. I wouldn't be friendly with. And like, she could do what she wants. Like, it doesn't make me think less of her.
Yeah.
It makes me think like, oh, that's a bad business move. You know, like you're not.
Okay, yeah.
You're not. You know, me personally, I think that what she's doing is wrong, but I don't. It's not something that I'm gonna have a meltdown about. But it gives people ammunition to be like, oh, fuck this person. Like, I think that they're not worth, you know, whatever. You know.
Yeah. No, I mean that all makes sense. I personally don't give a shit. I have like a pretty crazy stance on people in general because I'm not very political, but I can justify being friends with just downright bad people.
Like who? Like a Mr. Girl?
I don't know if I'd want to be friends with Mr. Girl. He's just, I don't know, he's a little weird. You know, like
Keemstar?
No, it's so weird.
All that tree.
Don't say the W word, bro.
I used to think Keemstar was a sociopath. I think he's a sociopath in some areas, but a big softy in others. You know what I mean?
I think he's just blunt. I think that he's blunt. I think that like.
I think he's very blunt. Yeah, okay, I know people like him.
I think he doesn't really care about what other people say or think usually, but like if you get close to him, he takes it personally. I honestly think that the reason why he's so upset about like the whole young thing from me is because like we are becoming friends.
Yeah.
Truly. Yep. And instead of just be like, listen,
I think so too.
Can you stop talking about it? Which is all it take for me. He's like, oh, I find a hypocritical moment. It could just be like, yo, listen, can you just not talk about it? We're like friends.
Or
like,
he's I saw it, honestly, my view of his thing with you. I saw it as him testing the podcast. Like, how would it work if we got into a major disagreement? Like something.
I don't know.
That?
I think that like
I don't know if it's that deep.
I think that he was upset, and then because somebody came into my channel, they're like, oh, they're talking about you in Augie's thing, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna go check it out. And then he's like, oh, how does he even know? And then I heard he's like, oh, maybe he found it on Twitter. Like, yeah, somebody came in. Like, he seemed like he didn't even really want me to know about it. Like, it's not like he was trying to. I don't think that I think
Content
that he.
bait.
Yeah, I think he takes it a little personally from me because I think that like it's a we're becoming friendly. So
well, in fairness, when I brought up because I was the one that brought up the topic to Keem when he was on, he was immediately like, "Oh, bring that bitch in here" or something. So I don't know.
Oh, did he say that? Because he seemed surprised when he's like, "How did he find out?" Like it seemed like he didn't want me in here, but
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
Yeah, I know other people like Keem as well who are blunt, and even I like being blunt to an extent.
Yeah, going back to my original point though, like the way I am personally, like I've got I would say like maybe a little bit of a fucked view on like who I could be friends with. I think I could be friends with like somebody that's like a murderer or something, depending on like.
I don't think I could.
I don't know about
like what kind of murder?
Well,
like Kyle Rittenhouse?
Kyle Rittenhouse is a murderer. What do you mean?
I'm fucking around.
I guess it depends the circumstances and how far removed they are from it, but generally, like
no, and I'm not saying that like if I saw murder, I'd be like, I want to be friends with you.
Yeah,
but if it was like a personal friend of mine of like maybe like 20, 30 years.
Like if you were friends first and then they happen to murder someone, be like, but I remember. Okay, I guess I get that. I personally, I don't know.
It's different. I say that because
if it was an accident, maybe.
Well, then it wouldn't be murder.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
Well, I'm saying.
Oh, unless you're a minority.
I'm saying like I'm saying like it's Jesus.
What the fuck?
Smaggle, what?
So very based in here tonight. Very based in here.
I'm trying to have like a real conversation here, you fucking asshole.
Yeah, but in the prison system, that would be it.
All right.
So
What the? What?
Anyway,
what the frick are you talking about, bro? Wait, where's Tipster?
Tipster? I don't know. You didn't go to fucking VidCon, even though we were like 10 minutes from his fucking house.
Well, good thing he would have gotten
COVID. He said.
Well,
I thought he said
might have
he
outplayed
would
us there.
prior to VidCon. I thought he said he would because last time he couldn't because like we were there for such a short time, and the time we were there, like available to hang out with him, was his anniversary with his wife, so he couldn't.
That's cute.
But this time I don't know what happened.
I see.
He never reached out.
I see he's been making a couple videos on me and on his channel.
Negative.
Well, I wouldn't say negative. Like he's doing commentary. Like I didn't watch them.
I just don't know. I just
think
actually asking. I didn't know.
He looked at the Keemstar, me and Keemstar having like our little tiff.
Oh, okay.
And then the thing with I show speed. Because like I suppose on Twitter, people have corrected me now. So like it got copyright struck. Apparently it was by a company that does this all the time, but it's not affiliated with Speed. So I guess he talked about that. But I just don't know. I'm a fucking boomer, so it is. What did
you think of the I Show Speed clip? Wasn't that? You think it was funny, or you think
it was funny? It was funny. Like I laugh, but like when it boils down to it,
that. Dude, my IRL friends have shown me that video. Like my friends who don't even use the internet that much, we've probably watched it maybe like 10 times. It's the funniest thing ever to us.
It's funny, but it's like one of those things where once you like stop laughing and you look at what happened, it was so irresponsible. Like if you're gonna, he did it on purpose.
Yeah.
He lit a firework off on top of other fireworks. He had no fire. He had no fire extinguisher there.
Dude, he's doing it just to be like a fucking like insane person. Like,
no, I know, but that's his gimmick. But like, you should at least be like somewhat prepped for it. Like he almost burned his house down. He could have hurt his family.
Dude, that kid's mind is just content. Like all he thinks about day in and day out is probably just content because he's so. Dude, that kid.
I mean, he's 16 and he's blowing up.
He probably makes 20. Yeah, he's been blown up for a year. I love he's grown like 4 times faster than Leafy. He probably makes like 20K a fucking stream.
He gets a million subs
I think he's great. I just think I like so from my perspective, like I'm older now, so I look at things differently, I guess. But like from my perspective, it's like this kid literally, like I think people don't really think this, but this kid actually could have like died or been in the hospital. He lit a firework off onto another firework where like it's maybe like a foot away. Like it was so close. The other one could have ignited. It could have blown off that firework. The other ones could have blown off. His house could have burned down. He could have like hurt himself. He could have hurt his like parents. And like imagine he really did hurt himself. And like that's like I'd feel terrible for him and for his like parents as well. Like that's
his mom in the video. Like she was just
pissed.
She had no idea how to react.
I don't blame her. And like imagine that's just fucked up. So like he should have at least been safer about it, you know?
Apparently, like his mom, like I don't know if like him and his mom are like a negative relationship or something, but apparently she's like pissed all the time when he streams because he's loud as fuck.
Well, yeah, I don't think they have a negative relationship. I think that it's like a normal mother would be fucking pissed at her kid for constantly being annoying
I
and
know.
loud.
I just
you know
say
what
that
I mean?
it's like she already has this issue with him being noisy. Now he cracks it up a few notches by like doing this fireworks stunt. I just can't imagine from her perspective thinking like, oh my god, what will be next?
I respect his parents from what I know, only because like I feel like there's like shitty parents out there that wouldn't yell at their kid if they were making a lot of money doing it. You know what I mean? And it seems like they're just they are just so like fuck, like you need to knock it off with this shit.
Yeah,
like
there's still his 16-year-old son. It doesn't matter if he has like 10 million subs or 2.
Yeah, it's just like you need to be more responsible. Like I can appreciate and I respect that because like so many parents are like, oh, you're making money, like do whatever you want, like fucking
exactly.
Shoot off a loaded gun in the house. I don't care.
That's how my parents were for me when I started making money doing this shit because I've been streaming and shit for like 6 years now. You know what I mean? But so I've been doing it for a while and stuff, and I'm young as fuck, right? So once I started making money, my parents kind of had a hands-off approach to it because I was still young. I was like 16, 17 or whatever. But I was also like a pretty normal fucking person, so I wasn't really doing anything insane.
Yeah, you weren't really blown up. I'm sure if you were putting off fireworks.
He's got like an incredible explosion. He's like a one in a billion. Like
my parents are just like, don't say slurs on camera, please. All right.
That's a low bar.
And then you already failed, dude.
Yeah.
I'm joking. I'm just.
How do they feel about you being friends with Keemstar? But they don't even really know who that is, do they?
No. They know everything because like
okay.
I'm like I talk to my parents every day, right? I'm like very close to them. They know all about all this shit. They don't understand Keemstar though. They think he's like insane.
Yeah, well, they're probably right. Yeah.
Yeah, they just like think he's like they think he's not even like real. They think he's just like this weird character.
Well, do you think that maybe Keemstar is like almost lost in his character, and where now it's almost part of his person?
No, I've had a fear that the same thing's gonna happen to me. That eventually, the more that I do this shit, the crazier I'll become, and eventually, I'll be like exactly how I am on the internet and real. I already kind of sort of am going down that path. I feel like, and it's making me. It feels weird. I'm like, okay, am I becoming a different person? Is this shit changing me? Like my character?
You need to make a clear split. I have a clear split.
Well, they say that like you stop growing at the moment that you like, kind of like blow up or get rich.
I believe that.
So, you gotta. Thankfully, I got a little more, notoriety as when I got old. So now
I believe that, but I'm also fucked because that means that I'm forever 17.
Yeah. There you go.
You know what I mean? Like.
Now you'll still, as long as you're aware of yourself and you're still trying to change, it'll be fine. I think the issue is that when in a public space, when you get criticized, it's hard to listen to it as much as a private space. Like if you fuck up at work and do something stupid at work or something like in a real job, like not everybody in the world knows it. It's like, okay, I fucked up, but you're not embarrassed. You don't feel like you have to like double down. But in like this kind of line of work, it's it could be. You probably, the people have a different perspective of it's like, oh, I have to double down. I don't want people to think I'm like fucking weak or whatever. And then it's like a totally different thing. As long as you keep you stay self-aware and you're critical of yourself, I don't think you're gonna run into that problem because you want to grow up, like you want to change. I know people hate Ethan for it. There's other issues with Ethan, but it's not just. But like fundamentally, changing is not a bad thing. Like you wanna change to an extent.
I hear that, but. I don't know, man. I feel like a lot of people like lose themselves when they quote unquote grow up. You know what I mean? Like, I think that you got to balance it, right? Because you don't want to like conform like completely to just what the world wants you to be.
It's not like
and just be a shell of yourself.
It's more of like it's not. I mean, you could conform. But I think some of it's just changing. Like, for instance, there are people who are upset with my R-word take, like Bowblax over here.
I'm not really upset. I was.
No, some of my audience were like, "You're being performative. You don't really care. Like, you've become what you want to destroy." Because I call out performative activists all the time. Thing is, it's not performative. Right. It's one of those things where, I'm like, this is bizarrely, people are missing this context. I don't know how. I met people with intellectual disabilities, like that are, I don't want to say low functioning. I want to say high support. I'm trying to be better in my language, but because my wife works with people with intellectual disabilities, it's her job. So like, I used to, not to make myself look like an idiot or an asshole, I used to like have no value. I used to not even really see people with like Down syndrome or like low functioning autistic people as people. Like I just didn't care about them. But then I know that's shitty. Frankly, I think a lot of people feel that way. Like it's not like I'd go around there and say, "I hope you die." I just didn't care to like look in their direction or anything. I think a lot of people are like that. They just won't admit it.
Yeah,
and then
I agree.
Yeah, and then I met them. And I'm like, wow, like what a fucking idiot I was. And like I talked to these people. They're very intelligent. It's like it's obviously different. But like,
nobody believes me when I say this, but like pretty much like all my friends growing up were autistic. You know what I mean? Like I just related to them more. Like a lot of them just didn't really give a fuck about like social boundaries. They were chill. They were not reserved. They were dope and stuff. So they were just the people that I just related to more in school.
Yeah, it takes a little bit of like, so that's like, for me, that was like me growing up. Like, okay, I learned that people with intellectual disabilities are people, and then it's like, okay, I don't think that we should use this word. After listening to people again, like high, I'm trying to figure out the word. Effectively, for lack of a better term, like low functioning people, especially people with Down syndrome, people with like autism, that like it's very impactful in their life, that need like disability services.
There's two types of autism. There's high functioning and low functioning. Low functioning is when you're like non-verbal and stuff.
Yeah, I think I'm trying to say like high support and like low support. I'm trying to
high support, high, because you need a lot of support and be high functioning. Like for example, Christian is high functioning.
Yeah, Christian needed more. Christian needed more support.
Needs a lot.
Well,
she
needs a lot of support. Okay.
Yeah, that was a mistake on my part.
I'm just
but. Speaking of this combo, can you look at my tweet and tell me what you think of it?
That
I posted.
God.
Like
they were talking. They were talking about your chicken dog tweet on Twitter and Tipster's stream the other day. I turned on Tipster's stream for like 15 to 20 minutes, yesterday, and then they just started. They said something about me retweeting a picture or something, and then I didn't know what the fuck they're talking about.
Oh, really?
What tweet here? The American gun one?
No, I put it in the Discord chat. Like,
okay.
Can somebody read it? I'm
neurotypical. Right, okay, I saw this. I'm gonna censor.
Nuclear.
Neurotypicals turned the R slur. I'm of course
into a slur
so that they can stop saying it and feel like good people for helping out the neurodivergent community. All you guys have to do is treat us like intellectual equals and stop pretending like you're smarter than us. Not hard, bro. So I saw this and I debated on the comment thing, but I was like, I'm not gonna worry about it. I don't think that neurotypical people turned the R slur into a slur. I think that it always has been a slur, and people are starting to actually listen to people with intellectual disabilities now. That's like my biggest contestment to that. And for me, like you know, my argument for saying that, like, because somebody said, I don't know, maybe I'm associating this too much, but somebody said like it was performative. Like what I'm saying is performative. It doesn't do anything for people with intellectual disabilities to disavow that word. But I would disagree, because I think that they're like the same thing with any other slur. When there's a high usage of that particular slur, it creates an environment where people that would identify with it wouldn't feel comfortable. So if everybody was throwing on the N-word with a hard R on Twitch, I think that there would be less black creators, because they would feel like they weren't welcome in this space. I think that's something similar to the R slur for people with like intellectual disabilities. So that's how I feel about the advocation of it, you know? So like that's my argument for it. Yeah.
I feel like both our statements are true, but I was definitely hyperbolic in that tweet, and I was.
You're trying to be extra. I know you said that because of my conversation.
The tweet comes off as a joke to me, but I don't know. You're actually arguing
it's like half a joke.
It comes off like you're throwing your hat. It sounds like you wanted me to come on the stream today.
I don't think neurotypicals turn. I do think a lot of neurotypical people think, or they're being performative with it. Like they're not going to use the word retard, but they still continue to think that neurodivergent people are less.
Oh, probably, sure.
Just like you were saying, Papa Gut, where you used to think that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
A lot of people do think that, but. So I don't think you're one of those people, but I think a lot of people are just like, okay, I'm going to stop using the R slur, and then that's enough. And I don't think. I feel like that's such a minor thing. Now, yes, if
I know what you're talking. It's like the people who who say Black Lives Matter, but they have they're very uncomfortable around black people. Like that's what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's
that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
who's like that?
A lot of people. Everybody. Like, there's so many people that are like. I know that like the "I have black friends" argument doesn't mean that you're not racist, but people who aren't comfortable around black people, like, and then they'll be like Black Lives Matter, but like they'll be like, oh. They'll kind of like get like a little tight when they see a black person in public. They're like, oh, Black Lives Matter, unless I'm in public. You know, it's one of those are, I would argue that most people that do it are like that. Like they probably have like the right intentions, but they don't associate with black people. They're just like, yeah, they're people, but I prefer not to be around them. And then if they get like one black friend, that's just their token friend, where it's not even like a genuine thing. I think a lot of people are like that, where they're not comfortable around like black people and shit, but they like the social currency that comes from it.
My whole chat is spamming Ethan Klein. You fucking assholes.
Oh my god,
that's fucking crazy.
Ethan.
That's Klein. That's our little like mating call to get Keem back in. You know, just start mentioning him.
Yeah,
but maybe like I guess. Stopping to use the R slur is a good step in the right direction, because there are like neurotypical people or neurodivergent people who were called that like a lot for their disability.
Look, I hear all what you're saying, but I'm saying as a certified gamer, man, that's a hard pill for me to swallow.
Hey, listen,
you're talking over a fellow neurodivergent.
Oh, that's true.
The point that you don't think I'm. No, I'm just kidding.
I think that it's one of those things where like when I had the conversation, I have no expectation of people to agree with me, but once I said it, now everybody's like, people are talking about it, and so like it's not about today, it's about like what happens next year. All of a sudden people are a little less comfortable saying it. I'm doing my job.
What do you think of my take? Like, what if I don't want to make the world a better place? And
I mean, you do.
What if I'm entirely invested in my own self-interest?
Yeah, you do. You know, you do. I'm just doing the best I can to advocate in the best way possible. Yeah.
To finish what I was saying earlier,
you to advocate for like a better world? Like,
Yeah.
did you did you ever like experience or have like any friends that experienced like some form of like bigotry and like it motivates you, or do you just like in general just or like I want to make the world a better place. I want to advocate for what I think that would happen.
Okay, so hold on, just like rephrase the question, or just say the question again, because like I had a brain fart. Sorry.
Yeah. Like, what makes you like? What motivates you to advocate for a better like world? Like, is there any like personal experience that makes you like support this, or do you just think it'd just be a good idea?
Let me just like try to think about that. You know, I don't know exactly what it is.
Not if I'm asking the question.
So
like
I don't.
Dumbass.
I don't. No. I don't think you are. I'm just trying to. It's one of those things where I've never been asked that question, so I don't have you. I don't have a good answer. So it's going to take me a little bit to explore the question. You know, because nobody's asked like, what's your motivation? Like when it comes to the R slur thing, like my motivation is like I know what it's like to be a bigoted person. I think because of like a pure ignorance. And so I think that's a bad thing to be. So I try to help people, especially that were in like my position, to understand.
I have an uncle who's very, very similar to what you're saying. Like where they
like
grew up and then now
old and ignorant. Yeah, that's pretty much.
Like, now they're very they're very liberal now, which is different than and they literally will talk about how like I'm just kind of like ashamed of how I used to be a little bit like in a way, and I'm just like
Oh, my wife wants me to say part of it's her as well because she cares about people. It's true.
Right.
It's a lot of my content is actually a lot of my success is because of my wife. I don't think people understand that either. Like I used to sit, so I made TikToks at work. I wasn't supposed to, but I would do that. So I would manage my bus cleaning crew, but I would be on the phone with my wife sometimes for like a half an hour, thinking about what to say in a TikTok, even if it was just a joke. Like the amount of planning was like insane because we'd love to just be on the phone all the time. So we'd be on the phone for hours. And she helped me with that a lot. Even when we do like the commentary content, like I talk to her about a lot of stuff, and like she helps me like get perspectives on shit that I wouldn't even think of. It's so weird. Like I'll give you an example because I'm a little ashamed of it now that I'm thinking about it. I was talking to Stardust. Was it yesterday? Yes. Yeah. Stardust yesterday. And at one point, she was talking about how she might talk to the quartering. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And then she said like, yeah, he's in my DMs right now. And so I was like, oh, anything sexual. And like that's a funny joke to me. And my wife's like, yeah, but I think you might have made her uncomfortable because she watched, and like I was like, oh shit, like from my wife's perspective, from a woman's perspective, like that's just like a uncomfortable question to be asked, you know? Like for me, it's just like a fucking joke, and that's the kind of shit I'm like, oh. Fuck,
I feel like Stardust would. Maybe I could be wrong. I feel like she would just go along with it.
No, she would. But like my wife's like, if you saw her face, and then like I was thinking about like she seemed to get a little uncomfortable, and then how do you say, hey, I didn't like that? You can't. She physically cannot say that to me. Because then what if I was just like, oh, fuck you? Or people be like, you're so sensitive. Like, why are women so sensitive? Like, she doesn't get to even, like, potentially have a genuine thought of, like, okay, I just have to deal with it. So, like, maybe I'm just assigning a feeling to her.
How do we do that, though? Like, if I at any point came on stream, if somebody made a joke and I was like, hey, man, chill or something, I think my whole chat would call me a bitch, but I would have to accept that and just be like, all right, well, regardless of whether they're going to call me a bitch or not, I'm going to stand my ground and be like, all right, this is too far.
Yeah, but I feel like I also don't want to put people in a position where they have to, like, feel like they have to test me. You know what I mean? That's one of those things. Right. Do my best to be, to not, like, put people in, like, a challenging position, you know?
Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't like challenging people very much.
Are you saying you don't like challenging people? Like you don't like Bowblax because he's a challenged person? Is that what you're saying? I'm just kidding.
No, I love the challenged people. The challenged people love me too.
That's gonna be like I'm like the new slur now that we're having this conversation.
Challenged people.
It's not good.
Yeah, but what I was saying about the R word earlier, I know we're kind of far removed from it, but I didn't really get to finish my sentence.
I'm sorry.
It's fine, but basically like eliminating the R slur. So you're saying that you're trying to eliminate the R slur because you don't want to be like ignorantly bigoted towards people with disabilities, and I agree that is what should be eliminated because a lot of the any like bigotry towards disabled people usually isn't like intentional or malicious. It's just out of ignorance. But I feel like eliminating the R slur is a distraction from solving that ignorance rather than a step towards solving it, because people are like, oh, we just won't call them a slur, and then they're like, that's it. Now I'm pro, neurodivergent, and don't actually bother to look into what the mental differences are and try to understand it more. They're just like, okay, I've done my job. I'm done saying the slur.
Sure, like you're saying, like, yeah, they got their virtuous when they tune out the conversation. I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
But the thing is like, so like, there's gonna be the people who actually care and the people who don't necessarily. Like, there's gonna be people who like actually care to educate themselves, and then there's gonna be the people that are like, oh, I think I'm doing the right thing, and then they don't really care. They tune out afterwards.
Yeah.
I feel like that's gonna happen regardless. But if you can get more people that are, we'll say, neuroatypical in the community, and it's because you reduce the usage of the R slur, I think that would give them a better chance to advocate for themselves, or give them like a position to be able to like say, like, hey, we exist, like, you know, I'm a human being. Because that's what did it for me, is like just talking to people with intellectual disabilities. Like, that's what did it for me. And I feel like that's one of those things, like, yeah, some people are going to take it and be like,
usually being around people,
yeah, they get to be humanized. It's like one of the first, like, hey, don't be mean to them. And then it's like, okay, now they'll exist more, and so now they'll become more like human to you because you see them.
See, that's why I can't be be hateful, because I've been around like people, you know what I mean? Not to like, that's not some brave grand statement. Oh, I've been around people, I'm better than other people. No. I'm just saying, it's like, for me, it's like, I look at everybody. This is how I look at people. I look at them and I'm like, do you have an interesting story to tell? And if you do, then I probably, and are you funny? Those are my two biggest things with people, right? And that's why for me, like, I find myself in positions where I almost like justify like being friends with maybe somebody who's not the best person, but they're interesting. So it's like, well, fuck, I kind of want to keep talking to them. Is that a good thing? I don't really know, but this is my current thought process on how I look at people.
And my wife added in, she said that saying that they don't like the word and that it hurts their feelings personifies them. So I think she's just trying to say it makes them more human, I guess. You know, she should start her own fucking.
But some neurodivergent people like using that word and don't use it, and don't in their minds associate it with being targeted towards them, but rather just a general insult for someone, like calling someone an idiot, calling them dumb, calling them silly. That's how I see the word. If someone else sees it a different way, obviously I'm going to respect that and not say that around them and stuff. But that's personally how I see the word, and most of my neurodivergent peers also have that opinion. Although I know also neurodivergent people who don't like that word, use it around them. But
what I would say to that is, like, it was I when I was talking to Stardust, I tried to like compare this. It's like, it's one of those things where, let's say the N word was used more. Like, let's say we didn't ban that on Twitch. I would argue that a lot more people would be using that word, and I would also argue that a lot of them wouldn't be necessarily using it to be racist. Like, I can see a group of white people getting together saying the N-word to each other because they think it's funny. Because I used to do that when I was like 20 years old. We would play video games and we would call each other the N-word. It wasn't right, and we weren't being racist when we used the word. It was just a really shocking, edgy word that made us laugh, and that's not appropriate. But what happens there is, like, now when people are like, yeah, but that has racist implications there, obviously. You're like, yeah, but I don't care about that. I don't see the racism in it. It doesn't really matter to me. And so now you're not really valuing the people who find that to be offensive. And then just the usage of that makes them feel like, okay, this isn't a space for me. Because even if you're not trying to be racist, like, it makes it uncomfortable for my existence, kind of a thing. You know, that's how I look at it.
The N-word has always been like super rooted in racism and stuff like that.
Well, I think the R slur was as well.
Like for neurodivergent people?
Yeah, it was originally a medical diagnosis, yeah.
Yeah, but most people have always used it as like a general insult. Like, I don't think there's ever been a time in history where people are just like you're acting dumb and people just call you an N-word and no one thinks.
Well, no. But like when we look at the historical context of the R slur, it used to be a medical diagnosis that comes from like the Latin word slow.
A lot of words used to mean a lot of things.
No, I know, but this word
bundle of sticks.
But this word like still means that thing, right? And I think that the historical implication of a bundle. Well, hold on. I think the historical implication of like a bundle of twigs was like that you would light them on fire, and that's why that slur is also bad from a historical context. Like, that's the thing, is like the R slur. They created a medical diagnosis that meant the word slow, and then people would call people that got diagnosed as such. They would treat them as less than people, and that's why they ended up changing that from a medical diagnosis, because it was so offensive.
In the 2000s, most usage of the R word was used just to call people generally dumb. If you look at movies from the 2000s, which do have that word in it, it's usually just to call people, you're acting dumb, not to,
but that doesn't. No, but like, that's what we were saying before, right? We were just talking about how Like, yeah, I don't think people use the R slur in every case to be like, oh, I'm going to intentionally like antagonize a person with intellectual disabilities.
But you're comparing it to the N-word, and the N-word has always had racist connotation.
Yeah, but the R slur. No.
If someone said the N-word in a 2000s movie, it's because they're black. If someone says the R slur in a 2000s movie, it's because they're acting silly, not because
the reason why the reason why it's difficult to in some instances compare these two is because like we have decided as a society that the N-word should be disavowed because it's racist. And a big part of my argument is the reason that we haven't decided to disavow the R slur is because people don't really care about people with intellectual disabilities. Like I think that's a reason.
I disagree.
I think for the most part, even society isn't there yet. We're just now getting into the mental health conversations where we're normalizing people with intellectual disabilities, and that's why we're seeing more shows about like autistic people dating or people with autism dating.
I agree with that portion of it.
Yeah,
I don't agree that people stop or were using the R word because they didn't care about people with intellectual disabilities.
I think. Do you think that most people care about people with intellectual disabilities and like an actual?
No.
Well, so then you kind of agree with me, right? That's the thing.
But I think people who use the R word weren't specifically thinking about people.
No. But that's exactly my point, and that's exactly the problem, right? So like the reason we won't use like the N word is because when we use it, even if we didn't use it to be racist, it was because we're always thinking about like, oh, it's like a black person would find this offensive. When it comes to the R slur, I don't think people care enough to think like, oh, somebody with an intellectual disability might find this offensive, and that's where it comes from, like that ignorance when it comes to that.
In the 2000s, I feel like the R word was detached mostly from people with intellectual disabilities, and then later on, people connected it, and then it became a slur. With the N word, it's always been connected. It's always been connected with black people.
I don't think that that's like necessarily true. And again, I think that the disconnection would come from the fact that people don't really have people with intellectual disabilities in their mind, and that there is no robust space for people with intellectual disabilities to even advocate for themselves. Like there's no media attention. Nobody really listens to the people with intellectual disabilities. Nobody really listens to the parents. Even the parents tend to think less of their own kids. Like there isn't. There's not like the same as like social my argument is that if there was a similar social advocation, we wouldn't be seeing this problem. But because society just looks at people like with Down syndrome as just less than fundamentally, they don't really care necessarily about their feelings.
Yeah, but I don't feel like that's like tied to the
I think that it's tied to it in the way where like they don't really care. They're not even thinking about it. Because okay, so it's one of those things where they don't see people with Down syndrome as human in like a sense, so they don't really think like, what if somebody found this offensive? Whereas like you went to the N word, because like, what if a black person found this offensive? We think black people are people in society. Society doesn't want to admit it, but for the most part, we don't really think that people with Down syndrome are people, and that's why we don't really care in general.
But also people who do care about people with those disabilities in the 2000s, they wouldn't think about people with those disabilities getting offended by the R word, because the R word wasn't meant to refer to them. It was meant to refer to people who are being stupid in general.
It was always like, that's where it always came from. Like I remember being like 10, 11, 12 years old. I specifically remember a moment where like my middle school gym teacher yelled at us for saying the R slur. Like it was never front and center in our minds. That's why we don't think of it in a way where nobody ever thought of it like that. But they like people with intellectual disabilities like historically always have, because of like where it comes from. We just didn't assign that value to it. But again, it's like that lack of sensitivity to the individuals who would be targeted by that slur. That's where it comes from. It's just the lack of like caring about those people.
Well, I know many people in my life who care a lot about people with intellectual disabilities, and people with intellectual disabilities who love the R word and don't think it should be a slur and don't think it is a slur.
Well, I would say that it is a slur. I don't know. I was like, because in the online commentary space, like it's not, but like the general society has.
If you consider like the C word, the white one, a slur, I think you have to consider like just because a word's a slur doesn't mean that it carries like the weight that other slurs carry, right? Like not all. You know what I mean? Like at least socially.
Well, yeah. Socially speaking, nobody like the R slur does not carry the same weight as like most other slurs, and I would argue part of it's because
of a slur. Yeah. It can just be not that bad of a word to say at the same time. You know what I mean?
I think,
Like,
well, that's the thing is like society hasn't valued it as like a bad word, and that's kind of like the advocation point for me. You know?
Here's my issue with it.
Yeah.
And this is gonna get a little more personal, but my whole life, obviously, I've grown up autistic, and a lot of people knew I was autistic. My parents would tell their parents, which would tell their kids. The schools knew I was autistic. So no matter how I acted, whether I acted autistic or didn't act autistic, they would know. And I got discriminated a lot because of that, but I was never discriminated through people calling me the R slur. It was always a bunch of different things, right? So if we're focusing on the R slur and saying, oh, don't discriminate against neurodivergent people with the R slur, you're ignoring all the many other ways that people discriminate against autistic people. Biggest example, acting like they're 5 years younger than they are. Going up to an autistic teen at 14 and kneeling down and being like, oh, you okay, buddy? And acting like they're fucking 7 years old, right? And a bunch of other things.
Yeah, being condescending to them, yeah.
And the R word, like, I've been discriminated my whole life because of my autism in many ways, growing up in childhood, less in adulthood. In the last, like, 5 to 7 years, I wouldn't say I would have been discriminated at all because of my autism. But prior to that, definitely. And I've never been called the R slur in a derogatory way. It was always just if I was doing something stupid, and then someone would also call someone who isn't autistic an R slur for doing something equally as stupid. So I just think that that word distracts from the so many other ways that autistic people and other neurodivergent people are discriminated against. People are like, oh, I'm not saying the R slur, so now I'm good. But then they still treat them like they're 5 years younger or like they're inferior or whatever. Focus on solving those discriminations instead of something so insignificant as the R word.
Right. So then, like, okay, because we're gonna keep it to this sphere, because obviously we're having a conversation about like a social, like the I guess like the internet sphere. How do you get people to talk about those topics unless you create comfortable environments for people to be able to advocate for themselves, so that the other people will realize that they're humans? That's my whole argument. Is like, if we create the space by reducing the word, and I'm not sitting here saying don't ever use the word. I'm just saying that I think it's a bad word, and it's creating an environment that people don't want to exist. A lot of people who find it offensive wouldn't want to exist in, to advocate for themselves because of it. Like, how do you
don't want to exist in a world because everyone treats them like a child.
No, I know.
The word is completely irrelevant.
No, I don't think it's complete. I don't, but I disagree. Like, if you talk to a lot of people, and I know that you have an intellectual disability, but if you talk to a lot of other people, especially like people like, you know, like that are like high support individuals, almost unanimously, all of them hate that word and don't like it when it's used. Like, I referenced a Jubilee video about it too, because there's a bunch of people with Down syndrome that are like, yeah, we really don't like the word at all. Like, a lot of people don't like it, and that's the whole thing.
I mean, I don't mean to invalidate you, but if we're going by numbers, like, I think I know more intellectually disabled people than you.
I mean, that's not generally.
Okay, hold on. This argument just sounds like you guys are debating about who's like the bigger expert here.
Well, no, it's not about who's the bigger expert. It's like, not everybody that has an intellectual disability obviously is going to think the same.
Well, I don't think there's anything productive in saying that, like, oh, well, I'm autistic. Well, I know more autistic people. It's like,
well, I'm not making that point.
Well, okay. Well, I guess more the Bowblax. I'm just saying, it's like,
you said, oh, my people with intellectual disabilities, I know all
you guys are both arguing
don't like the R word. It's like,
well, yeah, people
validating the intellectual disability people that I know that do.
No, I'm not.
Like, I'm not. I don't have enough.
No, no, it's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that, like, there's a lot of people who have absolutely no representation. Those tend to be people that are inside the system that nobody really values enough to actually have a conversation with them. And those are the people that generally aren't. Those are the people that I know, right? Like, and I'm not trying to be a dick, but that's all I'm trying to say. And, like, again, my wife is like a behavioral specialist, so I go to parties with a lot of people. And I'm not trying to like throw that out there. So, like, I'm just listening to them. Like, that's really what it's coming from.
Yeah,
you know?
And I do value your experience with them, because maybe, like, mine are more like peers. You know, they're people I grew up with and know. So I have more peer intellectual disability friends or neurodivergent friends. But you're looking at it from a different perspective.
Yeah,
and I do know for a fact that there are a lot of people with neurodivergencies that don't like the R slur, and I don't say it around them and stuff like that. But I think even they would agree that the bigger issue is people, discriminating against them for, you know, treating them like they're younger, treating them like they're stupider.
Yeah,
like the
I agree with
slur
that.
is like on the bottom of the list.
Well,
right?
that's the thing. It's like I agree with that. I wouldn't say the R slur's at the bottom of the list. I'd say it's the most surface level thing on the list, right? Like it's the most shallow thing. Would you agree with that?
Not really.
What do you no?
Isn't it easier to treat someone like a peer than to stop using a word? Just
No,
treat
okay, so
just treat neurodivergent people like you treat anyone else.
yeah,
Like,
no.
it's
What
not
I
hard. That's surface level. That should be baseline.
No,
That's surface level.
No, right. So like what I'm arguing here is that again, like what I'm saying is that if we got that word out of our vernacular, especially in the online sphere, because like it's pretty much out of everybody else's, you know, at least publicly, you know, it's out of their you know, word usage. That it could create an environment for people with intellectual disabilities to feel more comfortable existing in the sphere, which means that there's more people and there's more humanization of those people as other people are like forced to interact with them. And that people don't give a shit about people they don't know. They're outside their sphere. And so what I'm saying is if we create a more comfortable sphere for them, for people with intellectual disabilities, and what the biggest way would be to not use that word, that would be the best first step. That's my entire argument.
Yeah, but so if like someone who has the R word in their vocabulary and they're neurotypical, and they're like that they have a neurodivergent friend around and they respect them or whatever, and they're about to say the word and then they stop because there's a neurodivergent friend by them, that makes the neurodivergent person feel different and feel like they're being treated differently because they're neurodivergent and the neurotypical
person I get that.
is constantly thinking in their head how they're different, and that's bad. If we just start using the R word again as a general insult for everyone, then everyone's equal and they're not like
right. But like what we're
singled out.
We're arguing
right?
two different things right now, though, right? So I'm talking about a public sphere. What you're saying is like, hey, if you're in a friend group and like you look at one of your friends who may have maybe
well,
like
I meant someone like let's say like you're in a. It's a new person coming into the
no, I know that, but like you're well, that's what I'm talking about. Like if I would say you shouldn't be comfortable using the word at all. So like what in your case, it's like, oh, we're comfortable using the word in general, but we're not going to use it because of so and so. Like in a private setting, like do your thing if that's part of your group culture, and like yeah, I get that. But in a public setting, you shouldn't even be thinking to go to that word. You know what I'm saying? That's my entire
guys,
argument.
I think I'm gonna bounce out of the conversation because I got to get out of here. But it was a good one.
All right. So, take care.
Yeah. Have fun.
I'm sure we will.
Chat might have been getting bored of that combo anyway.
Okay.
But,
yeah.
I mean, it's just like saying the R slur is just like another way of like pointing out that not using the R slur because there's a neurodivergent person there just reinforces the idea that neurotypical people see neurodivergent people differently, and they're using that word
would you assign that same thing to like the N-word though? Like if I was using a comfortable with people but then I had a black friend there, would you think that I was being like somehow racist to my black friend because I wasn't like using that word, you know?
If
like,
that word wasn't attached to black people
but the R slur
but
here's the thing is like the R slur is I think that it is attached to people, it still is attached to people. Again, like this is like it's almost like a fringe, like you're from like an edgier sphere where it's more okay, and that's totally fine. I'm just saying that word is still very much attached to people with intellectual disabilities.
Well, I'm not talking about internet. I'm going based on like
experience. Well, yeah, in society, experience. Yeah, but like in society, it's still very much attached to it. Like in general, like I know that there are spheres where it's not.
But it wasn't really in the 2000s. I don't think.
I think so. Yeah, no, it always really has been.
I was a kid then, so.
No, I know. Well, I was older, I guess. But like it's always been attached to it. It's just that again, like society hasn't been like super like, oh my god, it's so bad, because like there was a difference. Like again with other slurs, the groups that were advocating were more generally respected. Like that's the whole point that I'm making.
Mm-hmm. I understand your argument.
Yeah.
I just don't know if I fully agree with it 100%.
Okay. That's fair.
But obviously, I agree with most of what you said, like 90% pretty much.
There you go. Well, also
you do acknowledge. I think you have a lot of experience with neurodivergent people, and I do think you do genuinely acknowledge the issue. It's just that a lot of people who are saying don't use the R slur or whatever aren't in your position. I think they're using it as like a scapegoat kind of.
Oh yeah, I agree with that too. I I think that there's a lot of people who do good things, but they don't really care for the reason why. They just want to seem like good people. I agree with that. I 100% agree with that. Wow, thanks for the raid, Augie.
Actually, I didn't actually know you were alive, so I thought we were offline once Augie left, but
no.
Not that I would say anything.
Oh,
not
yeah.
like any of what I said
Oh,
is like, bad. I'm not gonna start like saying the N-word.
I started my my stream, and then someone's like, "Papa got to talk about you." I was like, "Oh fuck, I gotta go see what's going on."
Oh shit. Hopefully your stream has enjoyed all the conversations so far.
Oh, I'm sure that they have. I'm sure when I post it on YouTube, they're gonna be like, "Oh my god, you're talking about Keemstar again," because I'm probably gonna post it like Keemstar and Papa got hashed out, some bullshit like that.
Yeah, I'm not mad at you like defending the R slur or whatever.
No, I don't think that you are.
Combo.
No,
combo.
I didn't take it personally at all. Don't even worry about it.
I like talking about this stuff because another part of it is like people are ignorant because people don't want to talk about it, right? Like even with someone like who I know accepts me and everything, like Nicholas Dior or whatever, or even Augie or whatever. Like if I were on a stream with them and I were to start talking like in depth about this stuff, they would feel like a little uncomfortable because they wouldn't know what to say or how to approach it or whatever, and that's because of lack of knowledge around the subject. Maybe Augie a little less so.
Are you saying that Nicholas Diorio and Augie don't care about people with intellectual disabilities? Is that the hot take?
No. I'm saying that they don't know much about it, so when the conversation comes up, they don't know how to like approach it. Not as much Augie, maybe like just people in general. Maybe I shouldn't have named specific names, but just I was just joking around.
I know what you're saying. Like it's one of those things where it's like, how do you even really begin to educate yourself on a topic like that? Yeah, no, I get that. Again, like I was in their shoes like 3 years ago, and even then, because like I've been with my wife for like 3 or 4 years now, it wasn't like an instantaneous thing where I'm like, oh my god, like I understand. Like it takes like a long time, bro. It takes meeting people. Like to really be like, what the fuck?
It's crazy. It's gonna take so long to undo it, and it's like,
oh yeah,
literally when growing up, it feels like I'm waiting my turn because first people need to accept different races, then they need to accept different genders and transgender. Oh no, then gay, then transgender, and then will come. So I'm literally just waiting.
Well, that's what I mean. That's what I'm saying. That it's usually like
we're waiting in line.
You guys are usually at the back, or people with intellectual disabilities are usually at the back of the line because they don't really get their fair shake. You know?
Yeah.
So
100%. It's like, here's an example of it. It's like a couple of years ago, I created a second channel to discuss this type of stuff called Truly Autistic. And people, because of the name of the channel, and I did this intentionally because I want to destigmatize it over time. But with the name of the channel, people thought it was a joke at first. People are laughing about it, memeing about it.
See, that's what they
which makes it, which shouldn't be a thing just because they hear truly autistic because they just think the word.
Well, that's basically like a
joke.
Yeah, that's like another almost like a slur now. It's like calling somebody autistic. It's like, oh, aren't you autistic?
Yeah, I think calling someone autistic in to mean that they're acting stupid in a negative way is infinitely worse than the R slur. I think that's way worse than the R.
You could probably have a good strong argument on that. I haven't explored that thought, so I can't even like comment on it. Like I used to.
And
like
I don't mind that people do it. Honestly, like me personally, I don't mind. But I think it's way more offensive.
You just have to say
like you're implying that if you use it as a general insult, you're implying all autistic people are dumb. It's like when you used gay as an insult back in the day, right? You're thinking, oh, gay is bad.
Yeah,
I'm
that's what it is.
using the word gay as an insult. Autistic is bad. I'm using the word as an insult. I think that's way worse than saying the R slur.
Well, I think the R slur is much worse than gay. I don't know if that's what you're.
Oh no, then
okay.
No, I'm saying.
Oh yeah, I could see that argument. Yeah, I could see that. Again, like I haven't explored it, but I could see
maybe even but the issue with me and the R slur, and it might change over time, is like when I think the R slur, disabled people aren't connected to the R slur at all in my mind. It's the same as idiot, silly, dumb.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the F slur is directly connected to gay people, and the N word is directly connected to black people in my head. But the R slur isn't directly connected to people with disabilities in my head. So that's why
I understand where you're coming from. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, but that's a personal thing. Maybe it will connect in the future. I don't know. But
maybe we'll stop. Maybe we'll stop using the word in the future. Maybe we'll see how it goes. You know.
I don't know. I just feel like next people are gonna start saying don't say idiot because it has a history of people disabled. Because idiot has that history too.
Yeah, no.
Dumb has that history too. Are we gonna say the D word or the I slur stuff?
I think that there's something like unique about the R slur that has kept up with people. Like nobody that I've heard of really cares about the word dumb or cares about the word stupid, even people with intellectual disabilities, it's like specifically that word. Like there's probably a bunch of other racial slurs that you could call somebody, even for like black people, and there are that have like slowly kind of died out. People don't really necessarily care about them as much. There's something specific about that word. Like people don't really get it. I mean, maybe you're right. Once they got rid of the R slur, maybe dumb would be next. I don't really see it happening. Like I think the R slur is like is particular. I think it's very specific. I think it's very particular, and clearly there's a lot of people that have like
I feel like
much more energy for that word than with the other words.
It's like the first in the list, I guess, but like I feel as though people with intellectual disabilities never particularly got offended by the R word until other people said it was a slur, and then they got offended.
Yeah, I don't think that's.
I guess.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I don't think that's what it was.
Because other
so
people
much.
would have used the word idiot and dumb for them as well. I don't know. I feel like that. I'm hesitant to say that though, because that invalidates people's experience. And I've heard people say that they've been called the R word multiple times growing up, specifically from their disability. I didn't have that experience, but I know other people have. So I don't want to invalidate that. But I feel like maybe other words were used towards them, like dumb or stupid or whatever. And I don't know. But
yeah, maybe. I mean, like, you know, that's, I personally haven't like heard of it. I don't know if there's a lot of advocation for it. I don't know. I mean, like, there's something particular about the R slur. Maybe it's because the word dumb was used towards like blind and deaf people, and there's like a different dynamic because people in society don't look at people who are blind and deaf as like less than. They just look at them as like, oh, they need help in some capacity, but you don't really look down on
like
there.
Unfortunate.
Yeah, there's something particular about people with intellectual disabilities that people go like, wow, that person is like dumb or stupid or like, you know, R slur, and like they're less than, you know.
It's because other people are dumb and they can only think of mental in like a binary way where it's like you're either smarter or you're dumber, and there's no like
and then you think of them as less.
Yeah, they just think of it as IQ, just like you're either 0 IQ or you're 300 IQ, and if you're born autistic, you just have a lower IQ. Like they only think in that binary way. They don't know the differences.
Right, but if somebody's like blind, they're just like, oh, okay, and like they get through it much quicker. I think that's what it is. It's like a very much of like an uphill battle with people with intellectual disabilities on normalizing their existence.
Part of the reason is that of the issue is because it's labeled a disability. I feel like that labeling is damaging because when you have when you're neurodivergent, you have, obviously there's certain things in your mind that make it so it's harder for you to do something than a neurotypical person, but there's also advantages to where a neurodiverse person can be better than a neurotypical person. So it's just a difference. It's a mental difference. So calling it a disability puts focus on only the downsides of it and not the positive, which is why I like to say neurodivergent instead.
Yeah, like I understand the two aspects. I think like for one, there's probably environments where people that are, we'll say, also use neurodivergent would like thrive in, like if they learned differently or something. But it's just that there's like an incongruence with our society that it makes it difficult to like specifically isolate those like individuals and help them get that specific thing. I mean, that's always like incredibly possible. But the other thing is like when it comes to like, it's one of those things where you kind of have to label it something, because there needs to be some treatment, like, you know, to change the environment. And so I think it's more the stigma attached to disability than it is that it is labeled as a disability.
Well,
you know?
But there's lots of other labels. Just autism, high functioning autism.
Yeah, but like how would you...
syndrome, and then for an umbrella term, neurodivergent.
Right. Well, then that would... Okay, so you're saying like you would advocate for changing the diagnosis to neurodivergent instead of like disability. I mean, that's fair.
Yes.
Well, see, there we go, though. But now that's another R slur. Now you're creating another, and I'm actually, I agree with you, but now you're creating like another R slur. All of a sudden, disability.
Yeah, but the word disabled is inherently, it means less disabled.
Yeah, and the word the R slur means like slow. It like inherently means slow. It's from the Latin language slow. Like these words come from like negative terms originally. If you look at the etymology of them.
Yeah, but we're not people aren't saying slow-minded. They're saying the R word.
No, I know, but like that's what the word originally has meant, right? So like that's where it comes from. It used to mean slow, like in music. That's what they use. And then they said like, okay, let's create the diagnosis because these people are just slow, and that's like a way to be disparaging. So they created the diagnosis, and then people were like, hey, like this is shitty. I don't like this. Let's change it. And then they changed it, and then that would be the similar to the word disability. And I actually agree with you. I think that we could change that.
Okay, I get what you mean. I do get what you mean. But I think mentally disabled has been more harmful to the neurodivergent community than the R word.
Yeah, but like nowadays, maybe sure, because like it's so normalized.
Even back then.
Well, back then when they had it, like when the diagnosis was like mental retardation, like I think that was much worse than.
Oh yeah, that was bad. Yeah, if you use
but that's what I'm saying. Like they're on the same
word as a diagnosis. That
yeah,
I don't like that.
Right. So that's what I'm saying is like these like theoretically you're advocating like something similar. You're like, hey, let's remove disability as a diagnosis because I find it offensive fundamentally.
But the word disabled is used in many other contexts. It isn't just exclusive to that.
No, I know. No. But so was that term, like the R slur. It used to mean like, well, still does even today. If you look, if you ever like do like music classes, it's one of like the symbols. It's like that's what it is. It means to slow. Like it's still used in other. That's the thing. It originally comes from meaning slow. So they made a diagnosis for like you're slow. Like that's what it means when they diagnose you with like mental R slur or R word. And that's like similar to disabled. It used to have that meaning, and then they would associate like, oh, the diagnosis is they're slow. That's what it is. Like that's the diagnosis is you're slow in the head, and that would be that's the same thing as what you're talking about with like the word disabled.
The fact, okay, let's say they're both bad, right? So the fact that people are prioritizing to eliminate the R word from their vocabulary rather than eliminate the word mentally disabled from their vocabulary, the fact that they're prioritizing the R word proves that they care. I feel like it just proves that they're so ignorant to.
But that's
is actually important.
No, but you're right.
Diverse people.
So like ignorance means like a lack of understanding. Like the word inherently isn't actually rude. That's the thing, though, is that it is ignorant, but we don't have the social advocation for focusing on the word disability as well, because people with neurodivergent individuals, they don't have as much representation. But if we are able to reduce the usage of the R slur, it would create a more comfortable environment for people to be able to say like, hey, you know what? It's not just the R slur. There's also like still like here's like a systemic aspect of like disability being a diagnosis, which is like shitty historically. So like that's where it would come from.
Why don't we advocate more for that instead?
Well, I would say that you could advocate for both.
Well, you were consistently saying mentally disabled this entire conversation.
Yeah, and then after you said that, I've been using the word neurodivergent to be more sensitive.
Am I the first person to tell you about?
You're the first person to ever make that point. Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah. See, it's not.
That's why more people need to talk about this. That's the thing. The fact that I'm the first person that has told you that, despite the field that your wife works in and the people you met, is insane. That's insane.
No, right, and there you go. But that, I think, contributes to my original point.
Okay, well, I'm done with Bowblax. What the fuck, chat?
Listen, Augie's chat was shitting on me too. Don't even take it personally. Don't even take it personally. They were shitting on me the whole time. They were
I'm not super like attached to the R word where I don't like. I'm like, oh, don't become a slur, or whatever. I'm just expressing myself on why I think other issues are more important.
That's fair.
Right?
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah.
And I guess maybe it's a good thing that the R word's turning into a slur because it's a vessel for me to go against it and say, hey, actually, this is more important. So.
It allows you to be able to talk about it. Well, most people like, if you think about it, you were saying before, your friends use that word a lot. And then you also said that your friends aren't particularly educated on this topic in general. And so, like,
I think Augie is.
Well, maybe there's maybe there's a little bit of an association with people who use the R slur freely and not being educated on the topic. Although people in general probably just not educated on the topic, so it's.
Yeah, I can't look into people's minds and know if they're saying it to reference disabled people or saying it to just call someone dumb or idiot.
Well, I was just associating.
I can't look into their mind.
I was just associating the usage of the word with like the lack of interest in caring about people
But people also use the word while caring about neurodivergent people, like me.
Well, I think that people just don't. I think most people just don't really care too much about people with intellectual disabilities, regardless of whether they use the R slur or not. Like honestly, I think that's really what it boils down to.
It's hard for me to wrap my head. That's hard for me to wrap my head around. Like people care more about different races and different sexualities than people with different mental disabilities or differences. Like what's the difference there? I don't. Is there like a tier list to where people care about black people first, then gay people, then mentally impaired people? Like, is that?
It's just because society. I think society finds people with neurodivergent people as uncomfortable, and they just kind of stay away from them. I think that's why there isn't so much advocacy for them. And then when you say something, it's like, who cares? Because like, who's gonna cancel you? Really, like nobody really cares. Unfortunately, like, I'm not saying I support that.
It's crazy.
But soon it's gonna get there. We're on the this is like the topic of conversation now is people, talking about like their neurodivergency. Sorry, I'm not trying to
sometimes I wish I was just born like 20 or 30 years in the future so I wouldn't have to deal with this shit, bro.
You'd be dealing with something else then.
I guess, yeah.
But some other issue. Like climate change,
Even though a lot of people are still like transphobic and homophobic and stuff, at least they understand like what it is. Like homophobic people know that gay people like to fuck other dudes, But like with neurodivergency, it isn't like bigotry really. It's just ignorance, widespread ignorance. Like I
think it's just like fundamentally it's like the same thing. They just don't care to engage in the topic.
Yeah,
because they don't feel like they have to.
I think in general, like if we're going over everybody with an umbrella brush, I feel like more people are bigoted towards gay people, transsexual people, and people of different races
I think
people with disabilities. But people with disabilities get discriminated out of ignorance more than bigotry, right?
Yeah, I was just gonna say like they usually use the word transgender now instead of transsexual. It's like a dated term.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Yeah. No, I'm not personally offended. I just figured I'd throw it out there. Yeah.
Well, I meant transgender. I use the words interchangeably, I guess, but yeah, I don't even know what the difference between transsexual and transgender would be. Isn't it the same?
I think it like means the same thing, but trans people prefer to be called transgender rather than transsexual.
Yeah.
Because like it's their gender that's changing, not their sex that's changing. I guess it's more sensitive, something along those lines.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm a little after. Like I never really used transsexual except for when I was looking at porn, and now I
didn't even realize I said that.
No, it's okay. Now I look up transgender porn instead of transsexual. You gotta be more sensitive. You gotta be more sensitive even when you're jerking off.
More sensitive with that.
It's true. They slowly get rid of the labels, like those inappropriate labels.
That's why. Yeah, but with the going back to what I was saying, that's why it's hard to get like mad at people who are like discriminatory towards people with disabilities because it's pretty much exclusively out of ignorance. Whereas with all the other groups that needed advocation in the past, it's mostly bigotry. There's ignorance as well, but it's mostly bigotry.
It's like looking at them as less than. I think it's just like historically they look at black people in for instance as like less than, like subhuman. I think they're similar to people with intellectual disabilities. It's just like one is like, oh, black people are subhuman, let's kill them. The other one's like, oh, somebody neurodivergent people are like they are like children, so like let's baby them. I think that's like how it manifests. It's just been different.
Yeah, it's completely different because, like, if we look at, like, the Catholic Church or whatever, they don't, like, they're, like, completely, obviously, against gay people most of the time. But they let, neurodivergent people into their church. They have nothing against someone with a mental disability. So...
No,
they might be ignorant to them, but they don't hate them to the point of kicking them out. Right?
Yeah, they just, like, they feel bad for them. Yeah. Usually, like, unfortunately.
There's like there's a lot of discrimination towards mentally disabled people, but there's not a lot of hatred, so it's hard.
Yeah, I think it's just tuning out because they don't feel like they have to listen to those individuals. I think that's really what it comes down to.
So like I don't know how I would approach advocating for my group because it's just such a different situation than anything else.
Yeah. Well, I think slowly people are starting to witness or to listen and tune in on people.
I think it's getting better.
Yeah,
too,
yeah. So it's happening more and more every day. So soon, yeah.
Some people who are just not willing to,
Yeah, those people will always be there, but eventually, like the general status quo will be like to say fuck them. Anyway, I'm gonna get out of here because I'm fucking tired, bro.
All right, good night.
Sorry, brother, but I appreciate the conversation. I think it's always fun. It's always.
I think the conversation ran its course. There's nothing I.
Yeah, it was good.
Didn't want to say or whatever. It's a really good conversation. Thank you for having it with me.
Yeah, no problem, man. I appreciate it. It was pretty cool. All right, man. You take care. I'll talk to you soon because we seem to talk. We seem to all talk regularly now, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So take care, man.
Later, man.
Peace. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and another special shout out to all my Patreon and Twitch subs. If you'd like to support this channel further than you already have by just watching the video alone, go down to the links below where you can sub on my Patreon, which will allow you to get your name on this beautiful black wall. Or you can go to the Twitch page and you can actually use a free Amazon Prime sub, if you have Amazon Prime, to subscribe. Thank you very much, guys. Take care.